Road America, also known as Elkhart Lake, sits in the midwestern state of Wisconsin. About 45 miles away from Milwaukee, its history began in the early 1950s as a road course around the lake. Today, the same streets of the picturesque town see only regular traffic after motor racing was banned on the public roads. But less than 3 miles away to the north is a purpose-built road course that is a real favorite with the drivers. This weekend, it will play host to the 9th and 10th rounds of Fanatec GT World Challenge America, one of 4 international series with championships in Asia, Australia, and Europe, all part of the global reach of series promoter SRO. Road America is the penultimate sprint event with just 2 weekends to go after this, finishing up with an 8-hour enduro at the racing capital of the world.
Hey folks, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Cliff Tufte. Now Cliff was a World War I veteran and a civil engineer, and he is the man that dreamed up Road America. Back in the mid-1950s, for an upfront cost of $75,000, he created this venue, quite literally on his own bulldozer, creating a track that is known as America's National Park of Speed, and for good reason. Talking about speeds, the GT3 drivers here this weekend, they'll be lapping this 4-mile track at average speeds in excess of 115 miles per hour. With the season at the halfway point, championship battles are starting to come into focus. In the pro class, it's still the Wright Motorsports pairing of Elliott Skier and Adam Adelson who have the points lead. They've been the picture of consistency this season, constantly on the podium, but they haven't been on the top step since the first weekend of the season, all the way back at Sonoma. Keep an eye out for DXDT Racing, though, that brand new beautiful Chevy Corvette, the pairing of Tommy Milner and Alec Udell. They've won the last 4 races in the pro class. In Pro-Am, it's still ST Racing at the top of the chart. Samantha Tan and Neil Verhagen, they've got the points lead by 46 over Turner Motorsports, Robbie Foley, and Justin Rothberg. But the newest winners in the paddock, that's Jeff Burton and Philip Ellis from Regulator Racing. Big breakthrough win for them at VIR, and they've got a chance now for a top 3 finish in the point standings. The series continues to go from strength to strength. This weekend, bolstered by the return of the AM class, with 2 cars, one from AF Corsa and the other from SS Racing. All in all, it's making for a beautiful weekend and a wonderful one right here at Road America.
The 4.05-mile circuit is located on the site of a former sand and gravel company. It opened its doors in 1955 and is one of the fastest and most beautiful road courses in North America. A favorite with all the drivers, it is said that Paul Newman got the racing bug here after the track was used to make the movie Winning. Let's join Calvin to find out more.
Welcome to America's National Park of Speed. We're here at Road America, just outside Elkhart Lake. 4 miles of incredible terrain. Fanatec GT track preview. I've got the legend here, the local legend, P.D. Cunningham. Pedro, you've got so much success in SRO World Challenge competition. Talk us through a lap here at your home circuit, Road America.
You bet. We've got 4 miles of rolling wonder here, 3 long straightaways, and a bunch of turns that look alike but are also not exactly the same. Turn 1 here, very late braking.
Big speed in there. Whoa, that was wide there. You're going to be coming in there about 165 miles an hour.
I guess I should have warmed the brakes up, huh?
A little bit deep elevation change here around this circuit. 170 feet of elevation change. This is turn 3.
Very important. One of the 3 long straightaways. You really want to get a good exit there.
Petey, you've got a lot of track records, but I understand you have the track record for the most double brats eaten in a 3-minute period. What's your record?
No buns, just the brats.
Just the brats. This is turn 5, down the moraine sweep. Big overtaking opportunity here during the racing here this weekend.
Very tight corner. You just got to really slow it down for that, or you're never going to get up this hill.
Such a tricky turn-in point for turn 6, up the hill.
Blind over the brow, early turn in, slow hands, and get back to power.
That was beautiful. Tricky right-hander coming up. This is turn 7.
Just very gentle turn in there to make it as pretty of a radius as possible.
That was smooth. Another important corner, turn 8. Can get some passing done down at the inside. Rolling speed through here about 75 miles an hour in a GT3 machine. This is the carousel.
Carry good speed in and then kind of level off. Keep your eyes up. You're looking for one late apex here to get out to head towards the kink.
About 120 miles an hour here in a GT3 machine, accelerating out of here up towards the kink. Approach speed over 140 miles an hour.
Very gentle here. You don't want to do anything wrong in the kink, one of the most dangerous corners anywhere in the world.
You've crashed pretty much everywhere around this circuit, Petey. How about the kink?
Never crashed in the kink.
Down into Canada corner, big brake zone once again. Lots of overtaking down to the inside there. You can see the skid marks on the track.
Again, very slow corner, but different than some of the others, so you have to remember where you are.
This is Billy Mitchell. There used to be a big bridge here, hard to see the exit at that point in time. It's cleaned up now. Use a bit of the exit road. Superb job there by Petey to finish off the lap, turn 14.
Again, very important because it's the long straightaway, so you really got to get a run out of there.
And there you go. What a lap that is here at Road America. Going to touch about 165 miles an hour 3 times per lap in the GT3 machinery here this weekend. Pedro, what a lap. That was fun, mate.
You bet. Thanks for coming, Cal. I'll try not to drive straight off the road in turn 1 this time.
Opened in 1955, Road America is one of the classics. It's a beautiful day here in middle Wisconsin. Sunshine actually breaking through the cloud cover, but there is still a chance of some weather about a minute, or make it an hour or so into this race. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. DJ Clark is down there on a jam-packed grid as we get ready for Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. Weather has been the story of the weekend, Calvin. Rain certainly looming yesterday. It never arrived. Might it today?
There's a threat of a shower. I think we might be okay, but yesterday there was some confusion. A lot of the teams elected to put their drivers out on wet weather tires. We never saw the rain. Some early pit stops threw them a curveball, got them deeper into the pack. Some recovered, some did not.
So many fans have flocked to Road America, as they always do anytime there are race cars on track. Here we have a look at the grid as we get ready to go for the big race here this weekend. It's all been building towards this, and standing there amongst the chaos is our own DJ Clark. Hi, DJ.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Calvin. It is a gorgeous Wisconsin day. Finally, after some intermittent rain all the way around, it's going to be fantastic to see what these teams are able to do without having the problems of weather. If we remember back to yesterday, we saw a lot of teams taken out early from having to switch over from the wet weather tires over to the dry tires. Today, everybody's starting on the dry, so it's going to be a real competition to see who's got the fastest outright pace.
That's right, exactly. Some of that strategy goes out of the picture, but I think everyone is looking forward to a more straightforward race than what we saw yesterday. Everyone's on the same strategy.
Yeah, I think so. And when we talk about that reverse strategy, you're going to have Jeff Burton and the like sort of starting this race in amongst the pros. If we should see a yellow, that'll compress the field, allow drivers like Philip Ellis to do their work in the second half of the race. Varun Shoxi and Bill Oberlin employing a similar strategy, with Varun starting this race and Bill getting in second.
Talked about some of the newcomers in our race yesterday. Some of them, though, barely got a chance to race at all.
Yeah, it was disappointing. We had that little moment between Oberlin and Madison Snow down in turn 3. Madison got turned around and then got collected by Bryson Morris on debut in his GT3 DXDT machine. So 2 cars were out early. Oberlin got a penalty for that. I felt it was a little harsh, but there we go. Those are the rules. Those are the standards that we're employing. And he was on the back foot. Not a great day for ST Racing.
No, it was not. They'll look to bounce back here today. That's a look at one of their drivers, Samantha Tand, who is in the lead in the Pro-Am points. But it's time for pre-race festivities here for the national anthem. It's Anton Piedenpol.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Anton Pietenpol with that rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, the color guard provided by Scouts of America on a special weekend here at Road America for the Scouts. 60 plus camping out, plus their parents and Scout leaders, of course. Camping near Turn 5 here at Road America. A special Road America badge could be earned by Scouts joining us here this weekend. Really, really cool to see, embracing the young people coming out and introducing them to motorsports. So close to the start of the race here today, but we had a race yesterday, of course, to look back to. It's a look back now. Highlights from race number 1 at Road America. A look back at the way the race played out. Several teams elected to start on rain tires, which proved not to be the right choice. This was really frustrating for a number of teams right at the beginning. Madison Snow, little contact with Bill Oberlin, and nowhere for the debuting Bryson Morris to go. 2 cars eliminated from contention on the opening lap. When we got back to green, Alec Udell led the way for DXDT Racing. Further back, this was the moment we heard Justin Rothberg allude to. This is the ultimate Pro-Am winning car. Goes on a bit of a slide, but still was able to recover. Udell and Mars, what a fight this was in the Canada corner. That was for the lead in the Pro class. The Acura took the lead, but this is where they lost it. Slow pit stop, problems with the driver exchange, seatbelt caught underneath the seat insert. That put them on the back foot. Zach Veach trying to make up for lost time. Change in the overall lead here as Tommy Milner went around Jeff Burton after the restart. This was Robbie Foley taking the Pro-Am lead around Jeff Burton, and that was enough to take Turner Motorsports to the top step. Burton lost a chance at a podium with this slide here, but he did keep the Mercedes out of the wall. At the end of the day, though, it's 5 in a row for DXDT Racing's Alec Udell and Tommy Milner. The win in the Pro-Am class goes to Turner Motorsports, and SS Racing takes top honors in the Am class at Road America.
Well, I am down here with Alec Udell. Alec, an absolutely fantastic drive yesterday. You and Tommy Milner able to take it 5 for 5. I gotta ask, 6 for 6, is it possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible. That's what we're shooting for, of course, and maybe better conditions today. It was a little tricky yesterday, so we made it through all that, and the DXDT team executed very well in the pit stop. And we came out ahead, after that. Tommy drove a great second stint to the finish, so we're ready to take this Corvette 06 GT3R back to the top step if we can.
Well, in terms of that condition and making everything work, what's it going to take to make that execution here today? Obviously, the execution made it work yesterday. You got any strategy you can pull out of the hat, or what's going to happen?
I think these races are fairly cut and dry in strategy, so it just comes down to running a clean race. So that's what our objective is, and to show the strengths of the car here that we can. And I think it comes down to average pace across the run. So we've got a good car for a race here, and let's just see what we can do in the race.
All right, well, we'll see what he can do during the race over the course of that 90 minutes. It's going to be tough, but I've got to tell you, Fanatec GT World Challenge means that it is a worldwide championship. And that means that there are plenty of races all over the world that take place, including in Europe and in Australia. So let's go ahead and check out some of those clips now.
3 weeks ago at the Nürburgring, Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup, the most recent round. Patrick Niederhauser on pole, but David Vidalis, big move up the inside in the Ferrari. That contact eliminated the Rutronic Racing Porsche. Its day was done in turn 1. Here was the first round of the pit stops, and into the pits comes the Windward Racing car. This was the battle in the opening couple of stints. Good fight here between Lamborghini and BMW. Dries Vanthoor ultimately comes out in front in this move down into turn 1, but these two put on a show throughout the course of the race. Second round of pit stops, and again, we see the Windward car making the pit stop. Big moment here, fresh out of the pits, in the lead of the race, but to the inside, Frank Pereira able to sweep on through as the Mercedes runs wide. That puts the Lamborghini in the lead, a lead he would not relinquish. This car, the 51, big movers in this race. They came from 48th on the grid all the way up to 8th. Minor contact there with the 32, but that actually eliminated that WRT BMW. Then in the late stages, this was the fight for second place overall. Big move up the inside into turn number 1. Lauren Heinrich able to pry that spot away from Daniel Morad in the final few minutes. But at the very front, it was all about the GRT Grasser Racing team at Lamborghini. The first overall Endurance Cup victory for Lamborghini since 2021, the first for the team since 17. Then in Australia a couple of weeks ago, this was at Queensland Raceway. Big moments here in the very start of the race. Plenty of drama as the pole sitter Brad Schumacher led the way, but we had a spin further back in the pack. A couple of Mercedes forced to take evasive action as well through the gravel trap. Both Mercedes would continue. This is the third restart of the race. Keep an eye on the mid-pack here. Renee Gracie goes for a spin in the white Audi, collects one of the Mercedes. That's Mark Cini coming through. Both of those cars were eliminated in this collision. Still a lot to play out. This car here picked up a 10-second penalty due to some pit stop issues. That's Brendan Leitch behind the wheel. He was trying to pull out a 10-second advantage over the two chasing cars to hang on to the win. He was not able to do so. So coming through to take the victory was Alex Peroni, able to fade off Jaden Ojeda on the last lap dash to the checkers. Race number 2, a little more straightforward. It was Ojeda in the pole-sitting Mercedes that led the way into turn 1. A spin further back here as Mark Rosser, the teammate to Peroni, who won race number 1, goes for a bit of a wild ride, able to recover, however. And at the front, it was Brad Schumacher in this red and white Audi who was able to maintain a comfortable margin to pick up a share of the victory with Will Brown. Those two become the first repeat winners of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia season so far.
Well, someone who is absolutely no stranger to the world aspect of GT World Challenge is Samantha Tan. But Samantha, I want to focus here on Road America. Yesterday wasn't the best day, but you guys have had the outright pace over the course of this entire season. Can you bounce back here today?
Yeah, yesterday we took a gamble with the rain tires, thought it was going to rain. Unfortunately, it didn't, so cars didn't play in our favor. But today, cars back up in front. We've got a great car and team behind us, so we're going to push to the front.
Well, obviously, you being a team owner and a driver here at this point, you got to be kind of keeping an eye on both and everything like that. You've got to be really emboldened by the fact that Bill Auberlin and Varun Shosky have been so quick here this weekend.
Oh yeah, they've been absolutely awesome, and they've been really quick yesterday. It was really unfortunate what happened at the end there, but I know they're going to be pushing up front as well.
All right, so what's the strategy for you and Neil this weekend? Is it all out push from the beginning? Are you going to hold back and wait a little bit, or can you not tell us?
It's a bit of just sending it, guys. That's about it.
All right, well, we'll wait and see what it is. Samantha, thank you so much. Ryan and Cal, back to you guys.
Thank you, DJ. Special weekend here at Road America. It always is when you come up here. And a special place to celebrate a birthday as well. Our intrepid leader, Richard Hay, celebrating a special birthday. There he is with his late father, Neville. Happy birthday, Richard. Great to have you with us all season long here in Fanatec GT World Challenge America. If you like the broadcast, Richard's the guy to say thanks to. And a very, very happy birthday to you.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend to celebrate with Richard here on site. He celebrates that birthday here today, so more celebrations after the checkered flag tonight, we hope.
Good place to do it, that's for sure. Great grid. We talked a little bit about DXDT Racing. What a run these two have been on, Alec Udell and Tommy Milner.
They have, and we think about the championship starting so late, it's pretty much out of reach, but they're getting closer and closer. They're only 42 points back unofficially from the leaders in that pro class. So for Skier and Adelson, they can hear the footsteps, and if they continue to roll and sweep this season, it's not going to be easy. There's so much competition in that pro class, but that Corvette is really performing well. This is a team that hasn't seen victory lane since the opening rounds of the championship back at Sonoma in April. So they're being consistent, but Skier did a great job yesterday. He lost the rear diffuser there to pull that off during the pit stop, but yet he had tremendous lap pace. So it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive he is at the start. He'll be starting third right behind our pole sitter in the Pro-Am class of Robbie Foley. Milner's alongside on the front row. He's going for that 6th straight victory with Alec Udell. So I think Skier today, I think they have to somehow try and beat that 63 car, but it is not going to be easy.
Thomas Sargent, Kyle Washington, winners already this season at VIR for GMG Racing. It's already been a good day for GMG. Team boss James Safrone has found victory lane in the GT America race.
Yeah, fantastic duel that he had with Justin Rothberg, who was going for 2 straight in GT America. So Rothberg swept the day yesterday. He's looking for another victory alongside Robbie Foley here this afternoon.
3 classes here this weekend for the first time this season. We've got the AM class with us, and one of the stars of the show yesterday was one of the AM class winners. Will Hardiman is standing by with DJ.
Will Hardiman, as Ryan Marine just said, one of the stars of the AM class yesterday. You put on an absolutely spectacular show, so I got to get a little insight from you. What's the secret to getting a good lap here at Road America?
You know, I was just focused on staying relaxed in the car and driving tidy laps and just feeling what the car wanted, you know, driving inputs wise, and what the tire was feeling like underneath me. Yeah, and just making sure and keeping everything at the limit at all phases of the corner, entry and exit.
Well, how much is that going to change from yesterday to today? Obviously, yesterday you had variable conditions, and that caution, I think is probably the right word, was on so much of display. Today, gorgeous conditions. Is that going to mean that bar to push to goes a little higher?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully today will be clean running, judging by the weather. We kind of had, you know, it was a slower ramp up yesterday, kind of tiptoeing around the variable conditions, and there were still some puddles existing on the opening laps, which took some consideration. But today it's going to be full-on dry running, and everyone's going to be, the pace is going to be high from, you know, the minute we go green.
Well, high pace may favor you guys. Hopefully it will, but are we going to see you the rest of the year? What are the plans for the rest of the year? Because you're becoming a fan favorite. We love the look of the car, and after yesterday, I think you gained quite a few fans.
You know, I just do this part-time, and just whatever my my personal family and career schedule will allow. I do just enough racing to stay relevant and stay fresh in case I ever wanted to ramp it up for a full season championship. I always reserve that option. So we're done after this race for this year. But yeah, we're just enjoying ourselves, and we just try to be a good you know, a good member of this community where, you know, I race other people like I want to be raced, and it's largely pretty clean. If you're going to beat someone, you beat someone on outright pace, not on, you know, just tactics.
Well, I got to tell you, you are a wonderful part of this community. We love having you here, Will, and we hope we're going to see you a little bit more often later down the line.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it and glad to be here, guys.
It was a great drive yesterday, running inside the top 10 during his stint with really competitive lap times, even up against some of the pro class cars.
Yeah, I think at one point he's up in the top 5 there, so he had a great run. Metney brought it home for him, so they had a great solid win there in the AM class. But it's going to be tougher today. Oz Negri starts in the AF Corsa Ferrari. He's had tremendous pace this weekend. Great to see our Brazilian friend back, and it was his debut, I think, in SRO World Challenge competition, but he's been a stalwart in sports car ranks for many, many years.
Got a good close-up there at Zach Veach a few moments ago. They had an issue with their driver exchange, or they might have snapped DXDT's streak yesterday.
Yeah, that was so unfortunate. I mean, Luca Mars put in a great run. I think it's the strongest performance we've seen from him aboard a GT3 machine anyway. And unfortunately, when Zach jumped in, the seat insert got behind the seat belt. They lost probably 10, 15 seconds. Otherwise, we could have had a different result. They finished P2, solid run, but could have been a little bit more.
Luca Mars made it clear in his interview, look, we know we've got a chance to go fight for something bigger tomorrow, that meaning today. I think we'll see that here soon. That is the car. A moment ago, we saw the Mercedes that Will Hardiman will drive. Alan Metney will start it. Random Vandals and Kenton Cook, man, they just want to get a clean start to this and really get their GT3 program started in earnest after a lap 1 incident yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. They've been testing and getting ramped up with this program. They've got some great personnel. Mike Harvey is leading the charge there behind the scenes for Random Vandals. But a very unfortunate misstep there in turn 3 between Oberlin and Madison Snow meant that they didn't see any further action. So Kenton essentially making his debut in this car in this championship.
Another debuting car here this weekend in Fanatec GT, Montreal Motorsports Group. It's Porsche 911 set to roar to life as the command to start engines has been given. Kyle Marcelli and Jean-Frédéric Leberge yesterday in the first race in the series for the team. They were on the podium.
Yeah, it was a really strong run by Kyle, and I mean, they felt they were on the back foot a little bit in terms of learning that Porsche and all of the idiosyncrasies of this championship, but Kyle was pushing hard. It was really a great battle there at the end between he and Tom Sargent.
Certainly was, and we may get to see that reprise itself here in the second race of the weekend. The cars starting to roll off the grid. One car we need to talk about too, starting out back, Jeff Burton, Regulator Racing. That car was flying yesterday in the hands of Philip Ellis. Jeff, in his stint, looked like he had a shot to finish second or third, had that little miscue late that cost him a couple of positions, but again, using that alternate strategy here this weekend, Calvin, and we've seen it pay off for them in the past.
We have, and what they need ideally is a yellow flag, either right towards the end of Jeff's stint or as soon as Philip gets in to compress the field a little bit, but it's worked. They got that big victory at VIR, and they were close for another one here yesterday.
We'll see if they can pull it off. They've been racking up podiums here as of late. They've got a good chance for a top 3 finish in the Pro-Am standings the way things go. That's the Mercedes that starts out back, but watch it come to life, especially in the second stint when Philip Ellis, the Mercedes AMG factory driver, climbs on board. Just one formation lap here at Road America, 4 miles around. The sun starting to peek out. Different conditions than we've seen basically all weekend long. It's been overcast at best and a deluge at worst. But right now, it's absolutely beautiful, about 73 degrees Fahrenheit here in Elkhart Lake. Robbie Foley set to start on pole, overall and in Pro-Am. Then it's Tommy Milner who scores the Pro Class pole in the DXDT Corvette. Elliott Skier, the second Pro Class car, starting in 3rd overall next to Tom Sargent out of the Pro-Am ranks. Then it's Brian Sellers. He's got a new teammate this weekend, Bryson Morris. That car was collected in the Turn 1 incident yesterday. Neil Verhagen and Samantha Tan, the points leaders in Pro-Am, starting alongside. Then Zach Veach, runner-up yesterday in Pro, next to Oz Negri in his debut weekend in the series. Kenton Cook and Random Vandals talked about their story a moment ago. Kenton's already been busy in GT4 action today. Kyle Marcelli will start 10th. Trent Hidman set to start in 11th next to Varun Choksi. Bill Oberlin will take the second stint in that machine. Andy Lee was racing a GT4 earlier today, came charging from the back for a great finish for Flying Lizard. He'll be in the BMW with Elias Sabo here, and Alan Bentley set to start for S's Racing with Jeff Burton out back for the Regulator Racing squad. 15 cars set to start. Unfortunately, no Schwest Povoledo Racing. They had a couple of issues this weekend. One chassis had an accident, a mechanical issue for the other. As a consequence, no Aaron Povoledo, no Ross Schwest, and a 15-car field is set to take the green flag for race number 2. Interesting mix, Calvin, when you think about the starting lineup here. Some of the cars that featured prominently yesterday are further down the order, and vice versa as well. And we've got the factor, too, that the starting driver today is not the starting driver from yesterday. So a lot of things different from one race to the next.
Yeah, certainly, and it's a very compressed field in terms of their pace. I mean, all of these cars up front are really separated by just a tenth or two on this 4-mile circuit, which is remarkable.
Great mix of GT machinery as well. Behind the Toyota Supra safety car, Rover Pole Award winner Robbie Foley has the field under his command as they approach the VP acceleration zone. Tiago Lucchini, the Pershing brand manager. He had so much fun waving the green flag yesterday. He's going to do it again today. And he's got a great view of these 15 GT3 cars as they crest the hill and look for that acceleration from the pole sitter, Robbie Foley. He hits the pedal and accelerates away. Tiago Lucchini waves the green flag, and we are racing at America's National Park of Speed. Foley for Turner Motorsport holds the lead. Big block thrown, or was it a move there from Skier? And in the event, he runs in second. He's able to take the spot away there from Tommy Milner. That's a change in the Pro Class running order at the top of the field. Sargent looking racy as well, and that e-boost sponsor, number 32 Porsche from GMG.
Yeah, really nice anticipation there by Elliott Skier to grab that pro lead early. Just followed Robbie Foley. Got a bit of a jump there, launch off of Tommy Milner. Tom Sargent thought about going through as well. He had to give it up, sits there in P4 currently.
Clean through turns 1, 2, and 3. How about the run into turn number 5 now? So far, so good. Side by side here, Negri and Marcelli. Those two, whoa, make a little bit of contact there as it breaks loose the back end of that Porsche on the Canadian Kyle Marcelli. Negri able to hang on in that Ferrari from AF Corsa. It looks like Zach Veach just got shoved off track and dropped a couple of spots.
Yeah, that was through turn 6, so a little bit of argy-bargy going on through that series of corners, trying to coexist here as the tyres are now getting into their sweet spot, coming up to temperature. That green and white machine is Kenton Cook on debut with this Random Vandals GT3 machinery.
Again, Veach getting used up a little bit, going off wide. That car bouncing uncomfortably up and down, able to rejoin right in front of Trent Hedman. But not a great start for the Racer's Edge car that had a chance to win this race overall yesterday.
They did, so this is a bit of a disappointment. I didn't expect to see Zach backing up here in the early going. He'll try and regroup here, get into his rhythm. He did that yesterday, laid down some really fast lap times late in the race.
He was super quick at the back half of that race. Takes a look up the inside of Kenton Cook in the Random Vandals BMW. Kenton Scott Madison Snow is a teammate here this weekend, but it will be Connor Daly joining this team at Barber Motorsports Park, and then Connor DeFilippi joining the other Connor and Kenton for the season finale at Indianapolis, where this will be
I think.
It is a drive-through penalty race start procedure, evidently. Transporting tires in tire blankets. That's the issue for the AF Corsa car. But back to the Random Vandals story, that entry for Indy has been nominated to represent BMW for IGTC points.
Yeah, and they've really stacked the deck there with Connor Daly and Connor DeFilippi. DeFilippi has a ton of time in one of these GT3 BMWs, and he's been assisting with the testing and certainly bringing Madison Snow on board here with Connor Daly being busy in St. Louis with the IndyCar program for Juncos. Is certainly a benefit too, because Madison knows this car very well. He won a championship with it last year, won here at Road America in 2023, and finished runner-up here just a couple of weeks ago.
Foley the quickest on that first lap. His lead 0.6 of a second over Elliott Skier. That's an out-of-class car. He's got a nice buffer of 2 Pro Class entries before the next Pro-Am runner, Tom Sargent, who runs 4th overall.
Yeah, the BMWs have been strong. They got strength in numbers now. They got strength in the performance around this circuit. They always felt this would be one of their good ones. They do have good straightaway speed, but it's also then compromised with what it gives them around the rest of the circuit. Corvette is very fast over the lap with the braking and handling, particularly through corners like this as we ride on board here with the young Tom Sargent. Super impressive young Aussie. This is the carousel turn. See how it falls away. Just feeding the throttle in here. It's going to be about 140 miles an hour right now. Maintenance throttle there, a little twitch there as he went through the kink. It's about 150 miles an hour on exit and ramping up to about 165 before you slow things down for Canada corner.
Concrete waiting for you on either side as well. Impressive. He kept the foot in it even with that twitch. Just a quick moment of counter steer, and he continued on in his pursuit of the Corvette in front. This Porsche running in seconds in the overall order, but leading in the Pro Class. This is where Elliott Skier and Adam Adelson were at the beginning of the season when they swept the weekend at Sonoma, but they're looking for their next win. It hasn't come since then.
Yeah, they keep finishing on the podium, but we keep talking about the run that the 63 machine is having that sits behind them right now, looking for their 6th straight victory. Missed the first few rounds of the championship, so they've been on the back foot, but they're getting ever closer. And I think it's going to get the attention of the 120 squad of Skier and Adelson. We have to start to beat this Corvette, otherwise there's potential for them to catch us by the season's end.
It's been an incredible run for DXDT Racing since this Pro Class car debuted at Circuit of the Americas. The team debuted at Sebring with the Pro-Am entry. It's the car that runs a little bit further down the order here, just a couple cars back, with Brian Sellers driving, joined by the impressive young Bryson Morris here this weekend. Hoping to see a little bit more of him than we were able to yesterday. Yeah, the car got back out, but it was much delayed due to the damage sustained in that lap 1 crash.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. He's bronze-rated driver. If he can keep that derogation, he should be in good shape for the rest of the season, I would think. They tested him in preparation for Indy 8 Hour. He went very, very well. And the opportunity came up to fill the seat here this weekend alongside Brian Sellers. He was the natural choice. Impressive young man Bryson Morris is. Nick Johnson is his kind of coach and mentor, and walking him through the process of becoming a fully professional driver.
On board with Jeff Burton, who runs 13th right now, fighting with Alan Metney, who leads in the the AM class at the moment. And this is part of the strategy here for Regulator Racing, this number 91 Mercedes. They know Jeff's going to give up some time here during his stint because relative to the other cars in the Pro-Am field, he's the only one, or this is the only car that doesn't have the Pro in the cockpit right now, but they know the race will come back to them in the second half, especially if there's a full course yellow.
Yeah, and he is fighting another AM here right now in Alan Metney, so he's found a little company. It's been a lonely road for Jeff Burton. Typically he's running around there by himself, either trying to just maintain pace or control a lead that Philip has built in the first half of the race if Jeff is the second driver like he is here today. So this will give him a little boost in the arm, just having someone chasing him right now.
The car's down in 13th at the moment, but don't forget about it. They have a tendency to make themselves known before the race is done. Battle brewing here between Veach and Hinman. Hinman in the Porsche. He'll have Jake Peterson as his teammate this weekend. He's alternated between Jake and Spencer Pompelli as the co-driver, and with that, the car has bounced between a Pro and a Pro-Am class entry. It's a Pro-Am here this weekend with the less experienced Jake Peterson as the second part of that driver lineup.
Yeah, great to see young Jake Peterson back. Avid guitarist, he loves his music, and he's running in a variety of championships this year, so we've only seen him at Circuit of the Americas so far until this weekend. I'm not sure what the plan is moving forward. I would anticipate seeing him at the Indy 8 Hour as well.
Yeah, I talked to Justin Bellinzoni, who runs the RS1 team last week, and I actually saw him here for a different event at Road America, and he was saying he wasn't entirely sure what the plan is either, but the folks at Porsche think very highly of Jake, and Justin's hope was that they could convince him to focus on this project, this program, and they could grow with him over the coming years. Haven't had a chance to ask Justin how that has progressed in the last week, but my suspicion is it's still a bit of a work in progress at the moment, though. Difficult day yesterday for Trent and Jake, and Trent's mired down in 11th right now, but expect Jake to make his way forward when he gets in that car.
So cool to hear the sounds of this variety of power plants whistling down through Kettle Bottoms into Canada Corner. This is Thunder Valley up through Billy Mitchell. Wonderful rhythm to this section of the racetrack. Tricky turning point here. Key is just to roll on that power nice and early. Get that launch up this hill. Big elevation change here, over 170 feet of elevation change in total around this race circuit.
It was a battle for third and fourth in the Pro class, with third held down by Kenton Cook at the moment for Random Vandals. Just want to send our best wishes to the team principal, Paul Sparta from Random Vandals. He was racing at GT4 America yesterday, got caught up in a lap 1 accident and suffered a bit of an injury. Didn't get to race today, but Paul, we send you wishes for a speedy recovery. Hope to see you back at the racetrack at Barber.
Yes, we certainly do. Wish you all the best, mate. Here on board with Tom Sargent, really putting the pressure on Tommy Milner. This is for P3 overall. Not a battle for class. Pro-Am lead is Robbie Foley up front, then 2 Pro cars, Skier, then Milner. On board with Tom Sargent, runs second in Pro-Am. Brian Sellers right behind him by about 0.8 of a second, so Sellers is having a nice run here today.
He is. It's good to see both of the DXDT cars running so close together. There's been a bit of a surprising disparity, I think, between the two cars from time to time this year, but that gap is closing up here this weekend.
Okay, tricky this corner as carousel rotor's fallen away, really loads up that left front. You've got to think about the aero wash that you're getting. These GT3 cars are high downforce machines, very dependent on getting the air to that front splitter and the front dive plane. So you have a car in front of you creating that wake in the air, it kind of takes that away from the front end and makes it less efficient. Quiet weekend for Verhagen and Tan, to be honest with you. Coming off that incident at VIR, which extended their championship lead when Neil and Robbie Foley got together there early in the race, but just don't seem to have really found the sweet spot here this weekend. I mean, it seems like the sister car is back into its rhythm a little bit after a difficult first half to the year. Did test here last week. Right now sitting 4th in the Pro-Am class. We're not used to saying that with Neil Verhagen behind the wheel.
Not sure we really got to see the full strength of this car yesterday because they elected, it was unclear what the conditions would be for the race. They elected to start on wets. That proved to be the wrong choice, so they had to come in relatively early, make an extra pit stop, and in so doing, they dropped a lap. And even with a late full course yellow, that helped a lot of the other cars in their class to get caught back up because they were still stuck a lap down. They were not able to take advantage of that, and that cost them a podium result for the first time all season that they did not stand on the podium in one of these Fanatec GT World Challenge America races.
Top 7 cars, including Neil Verhagen, have all run lap times within 0.4 of a second. Fast lap so far is by Robbie Foley at 2:06.29. Skiers a couple of tenths off that mark. Tommy Milner further 2 tenths behind that.
Super tight though, as you would expect, between so many of these big name pros like Foley, who's a factory driver, same for Milner. Same, of course, for the likes of Bill Oberlin as well, who have factory affiliation. We'll see another factory driver in the form of Philip Ellis in the second stint of this race. Jeff Burton, by the way, did drop back behind Alan Metney a couple of laps ago. This fight hasn't gone anywhere, has it?
Veach and Hinman, it's not for class battle, it's pro and a Pro-Am entry. And Shoxy hanging in there a couple of seconds further back in the number 28 ST Racing machine, as you said. No strategy with them. Orblin waiting in the wings. Orblin absolutely loves this race circuit. Was very fast here last year. He was teamed with Chandler Hull.
Told a little bit of Zach Veach's story yesterday, talking about starting go-karting in his native Ohio, being discovered by Dave Fisher, father of Sarah Fisher. But he packed a lot into his youth. In addition to his racing, he was the author of 99 Things Teens Wish They Knew Before Turning 16. He was on Oprah as a spokesperson for Oprah's No Phone Zone distracted driving campaign. And he's had a nice career in motorsports as well, all the way up to the IndyCar series.
Yeah, ran with Andretti Autosports for a few seasons there. Then he made the move back to sports cars with Vassar Sullivan Lexus team. So he's familiar with these GT3 cars. It's been a while, but unfortunately for him, they didn't have the chance with the deal coming together so late to do any pre-season testing. So they've been really learning on these race weekends, but they're certainly making some ground. And his teammate Luca Mars put in a brilliant performance yesterday to lead the race.
Race Vision powered by AWS. Best laps, Tom Sargent, new fastest lap of the race, 2:06 flat. We're on board with the fastest man on track right now, the Aussie.
He is absolutely on top of this Porsche. His teammate Carl Washington's done a wonderful job. Carl's actually competing here at Road America for the 3rd consecutive weekend. I think there's about 10 races in total that he's going to have completed by the Checkered Flag here this afternoon.
That's right, 2 Carrera Cup races 2 weeks ago. Then he ran in Porsche Sprint Challenge, both the North America Series as well as the USA West Series. So that's another 4 races. I think he did the 2 endurance races too, so that's another 2. And now the 2 races here this weekend. If you had any doubt about Kyle Washington's enthusiasm for driving, you can dismiss that after that
commitment
statistic.
too. Yeah, he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He's very supportive of the team. He loves the family atmosphere at GMG. He's got a great mentor in James Safronis, who had a great win this morning in GT America competition. So the team is on a high. I'd love to see Kyle and Tom step on the podium again this afternoon.
Tom made the move stateside last year after winning the 2022 Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia Championship. Came to the U.S. with an Aussie team, McElrea Racing. You know the name Hunter McElrea, raced in Indy Next, did some racing in IMSA lately. That's the family team, McElrea Racing. Very successful in Porsche racing down under, but follow them over here. That team elected to shift their focus back to the Australian market, and so it wasn't clear what Tom was going to be doing this year when this opportunity with G&G and Kyle Washington came about. It took a little while to get the program going, but the first podium, it was a big one because it was a win, race 1 at VIR.
Yeah, and with the location of that McElrea team, he got to meet DXDT team and got the opportunity to run the Indy 8 hour, and then through that, just networking, just all about being in the paddock and meeting people. He met Carl Washington, they struck up a friendship, and Carl offered him a seat for this year, and he's really performing very, very well.
You consider how much experience the other pros have at all these tracks here in North America. He only has 1 year of racing around this place, and none of it, other than the 8-hour, was in a GT3 car. He's doing a great job and has all season long to go toe-to-toe with some of the top GT pros here in North America.
Neil Verhagen chasing after Brian Sellers. They're actually teammates in some of the big enduros here in North America, so they now know each other very, very well. But you put that to one side when you're competing against each other.
It is an interesting dynamic, though, isn't it? Teaming up with Brian Sellers and also Madison Snow, who's here too. There was the potential, depending on what Random Vandals did with their driver lineup, that all three could be here together, but in different cars. But unfortunately, we weren't treated to that. That would have been kind of fun, though. This is the Montreal Motorsports Group team that debuted at VIR, albeit in GT America, the single driver format for Jean-Frédéric Leberge. He's teamed with Marcelli, Kyle Marcelli, who's in the car right now. And again, checking in on Jeff Burton here, just plugging away. This is what he needs to do. Keep it nice and clean and top on board with Jeff Burton here as he comes out of turn 14, a lap around beautiful Road America. Is 6.2 liters of naturally aspirated V8 magnificence on this Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. Jeff Burton, race winner earlier this year along with Philip Ellis at VIR.
How cool is that sound between the trees? Awesome stuff. Really makes a mark to me is when you hit those curbs, the abruptness and how it kind of completely shakes the chassis, but you gotta have a car that's compliant, even though it feels pretty aggressive there. Suspension system is absorbing that as well as the Pirelli tires.
What did you pick up from watching Jeff on board?
He's smooth. I think maybe, you know, getting back to power is a little bit of an on-off switch, particularly coming out of turn 5. Kind of, you'd probably feel with Philip Ellis behind the wheel, he'd be feeding the power a little bit sooner, a little bit more smoothly coming through the corners. But I thought it was a tidy lap. It didn't look to be dramatically wrong in any one area. But that just showcases how tough it is to think that some of the drivers out there are wringing out another 2 or 3 seconds out of that performance.
Including this guy, Robbie Foley, who has one of the fastest laps we've seen today. Had that honor for a while for top lap. It's been taken away by Tom Sargent, and a few others have run in the same vicinity, 2:06.2. Still enough, though, to show the way. That's Justin Rothberg, his teammate. Of course, these two won yesterday in the Pro-Am class, and Rothberg's having just a fantastic weekend when you consider what he's done in GT America as well.
Super impressive. Yeah, it just seems to go from strength to strength. His racecraft has been there all season long. His pace is now improving. Pushed hard for the win around James Safronis. James Safronis pulled out every trick in the book to keep that track position this morning to thwart Justin for going 3 straight victories here this weekend, but his teammates doing a solid job setting the table nicely for maybe another win here in about an hour or so.
The GT America win in a driving rainstorm yesterday ranks for me among the best drives we've seen from him this year, but he had a good one too in the Fanatec GT race to help set the table for Robbie Foley, who took it home and collected the win for Turner. That helps them from a championship perspective in a big way. Another look at fast laps here with our race vision powered by AWS, giving you an idea of just how close these cars are. Top 5 effectively within 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Around a 4-mile circuit, 14 corners, to be that close, it just really showcases how well the technical committee, who kind of balance all of the performances of these various manufacturers together, what sort of job they're doing. That's remarkable.
3 different manufacturers on that chart right there inside the top 5. 6th place overall, Neil Verhagen.
Yeah, he's pushing here. Try to chase down Brian Sellers, and again, very unusual to see Neil outside of the top 3 during his stint in Pro-Am, so it just really showcases the bar is being continually pushed this season. They got off to a great start off the chemistry that they developed last year. He and Samantha Tan got together, I think it was in the 3rd event of the season. John Edwards did the first couple, then he moved to private aviation as a new career for him. BMW factory pilot, he'd had speed, he had pole at Sonoma, I believe it was, and then Neil jumped on board and immediately the results were there.
Looking at our circuit performance, telling you which car has the best sector time in the 3 different sectors. 3 different cars represented. The one that stands out to me, Sector 1, car 8, that's Flying Lizard Motorsports. Andy Lee, the team's first weekend racing this BMW M4 GT3, and Andy Lee is right on the pace right away.
Yeah, and it's great to see Andy get that opportunity. He doesn't do a ton of GT3 races. It's kind of a stalwart GT4 competition, but now he's been given this chance. Now they've moved to this BMW platform. The results are immediate, and he's really quick behind the wheel. And I think Elias Sabo is enjoying the ride too. So there we look at the 511 machine.
Finished 6th yesterday. Best finish on the season was 5th in race 1 at VIR, but that was with the old platform when they started the season with the Aston Martin, made the switch in the time since VIR. And it's not much time to get your hands on the car, get it shook down, have your crew pour over it and make sure it's ready to go. This is a chassis that ran here last year, but a lot of work has to be done to make sure it's ready to compete at a high level, and Flying Lizard has been up to the challenge.
Yeah, they really have, and you put that car in the hands of some of their experienced and really savvy engineers. They're going to bring more and more performance out of that. Great support from BMW Motorsport to get that car, get all the parts and pieces in place, be ready to roll through a race weekend. It's a big task. Here we're looking at our AM leader once again, Alan Metney. Got around Jeff Burton. I'm not sure if Jeff had a bobble because he now sits several seconds behind Alan, but Metney doing a great job, and can't wait to see Hardeman behind the wheel. He was super impressive yesterday.
For sure. Alan's job is to keep this car right where it is, ahead of the AF Corsa car, which is still recovering from its penalty for transporting the tires inside the tire blankets pre-race. That's a penalty we will not see next year because tire warmers will not be a part of the championship in 2025 and moving forward, with the possible exception of the Indy 8-hour, given that championship, or the fact that that event is also part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge Championship. But back to Alan Medney, native of Austin, Texas, ran the races at Circuit of the Americas. It was the same lineup, but they actually ran in the Pro-Am class because there were no other Am class entries. But with they, of course, joining the fun here this weekend, they ran in the class they really intended to run in, and they've got some competition. It's going to be an interesting dynamic with the swings in performance between the two different drivers. Really, the 4 drivers, the 2 drivers in each car.
Here we see Oz Negri, as we talked about, had to come through the pits, suffered that penalty for the infraction before even seeing the green flag here today. Great to see Oz back, now 60 years old. Ran for many years with Michael Shank Racing and prototypes, then in GT competitions, so he's familiar with GT3 machinery. He's involved in the new Acura NSX program when Mike Shank, now Maya Shank Racing, ran that a few years back. But avid coach, who's really taught some of the best in the business in terms of learning how to become a pro race car driver. And he was coaching Jay Schreibman in Ferrari Challenge. They established a friendship and have done a few races, not a ton of racing together, but some over in Europe in GT Open.
I think a little in Italian GT too. I should say Italian GT as well. They don't have a GT2 series, but nevertheless, battle for 3rd here in the pro class, with Kenton Cook still hanging on, doing a really nice job in the debut for this Random Vandals team in the GT3 class. They've done a lot of testing. They were there at the VIR race weekend, took part in the pre-event testing there as part of the build-up to this. It's been a massive investment from Paul Sparta and everyone behind this team to get them to this point. Paul told me earlier in the weekend that they've been slowly but surely adding some staff, including some names he said we'd recognize if he was allowed to talk about them, but he's not yet.
Yeah, he's certainly got a lot of passion for motorsports. Multifaceted team, lots of entries in GT4 competition across a variety of championships. It certainly takes a lot of resources to run one of these teams, and they'll be top-notch. They've got some really great personnel, as you mentioned, led by Michael Harvey right now. Some good engineers as well in their squad.
And it's a 1-car team right now, but he also said don't be surprised if there's a second one of these on the grid, maybe one Pro, maybe one Pro-Am, something to that effect. Still to be determined, and it's not solidified, but that is the team's goal, to have 2 BMWs on the grid in Fanatec GT World Challenge America in 2025.
Launching up this front straightaway, 4,400 feet between the exit of turn 14, up the hill into this deep brake zone. 3rd gear corner, minimum speed's about 100 miles an hour through here as you send it. You got to watch the track out point. Track limits will be called. You see those perpendicular white lines to the track edge. You have to have part of the car or the tires on top of that. Downhill, turn 3 here, about 80 miles an hour minimum speed through that one, and winding it back up. 3,800 foot run from turn 3 down the moraine sweep to the braking point for turn 5. It curves a little bit. That right side keeps curving in. You got to angle the car in there. Just try and roll speed. You don't want to stop and start the car. Just try and roll it through the middle of the corner. Tricky turning point here. Right at the crest of the hill. Got to hit your marks. As Petey said, turn in early, then slow hands. I always found that a tricky corner, turn 7 to put together. Never felt quite right when you went through there. This is the wild ride through the carousel. It's going downhill, 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 pushing on that left front tire, trying to maintain grip there. Catch your breath momentarily, then the kink.
Did you have a favorite corner here when you raced?
I think certainly the challenge of the kink. I mean, it can scare you at times if the car's not good, but if you've got a nicely balanced car, it's certainly fun to fire it through them. But I just love the rhythm. I love there's no giveaway corners. Everyone has a little bit of meat on the bone. Everyone is important. And I even found like the slow corners, like turn 3, turn 5, it felt like you're in them for a long time. You know what I mean? So keeping the balance of the car consistent all the way through the corner without it giving up on one end or the other was really the trick. And when you got that, you really got rewarded on the lap time, because you were picking up a 1/10 of a second everywhere, and suddenly that's a second and a half on the stopwatch.
How about a favorite car that you drove here?
I always loved my former Atlantic days. I mean, I felt that was a great car in terms of the horsepower to weight ratio and big tires, good brakes, and just a fun car to drive.
Talked about this team a little bit earlier, Montreal Motorsports Group, active in touring car racing these days, but making a debut GT3 racing at VIR in the GT America Championship, and now what we've been waiting for all year with a program here in Fanatec GT World Challenge America, the 2-driver format, 90-minute races. Kyle Marcelli, veteran from Canada. Good to see that he's in good health. That was a bit of an issue a couple weeks ago. Had to miss a race here at Road America as he dealt with, what was it, more like a nerve issue, more or less?
A note on here, just give me a second.
Sure.
I'll pull it up.
Pro-Am champion here in this series under a slightly different name at the time, but certainly someone with a lot of experience and a big boost to this team as they try to get this program jump-started.
Yeah, the condition that Kyle was going through was called thoracic outlet syndrome, basically like a nerve disorder in his arm, and he felt he got it from maybe he's been working on his house, doing some construction, and kind of twisting his arm in some motion he was doing, hammer and nails. Someone taught, he didn't tell me directly, but someone kind of related the story to me. But he seems to be fine. Had to miss an event here at Road America a couple of weeks ago. And we look at the clock there, 58.5 minutes to go. The earliest time in the race would be 51:26 left in this race when the pit window would open.
Different this year. There's not a prescribed pit window per se, but there is a maximum stint length, and that's ultimately what dictates what becomes the pit window. Check back in at this fight towards the front of the field, and this is simmering right now, but in the second stint, these Sunday races, they always come to a boil by the end of it, because we've got some cars that maybe are a bit out of position when the second driver gets in, for good or for ill. And that tends to make for a dramatic dash to the checkered flag. Report again with Sargent.
Yeah, and this is the stage of the race where those reverse strategy teams would ideally love to see some sort of incident out on the racetrack where there's a yellow, and the big gaps that have been developed between the leaders and their starting drivers is erased right before you bring the car up pit lane to switch over to your faster driver.
Quick hands from Tom Sargent. We've seen that a couple of times when we've gone on board. Looked a little bit more steady to the carousel here. Tough place to be behind another car, I would think. These GT3 cars do relying on their aero, and when you're running in the wake on a high-speed, long-duration corner like that, it can be a challenge.
Yeah, well, you loaded up on that left front anyway, and we've talked about the fact this track was resurfaced back late in 2022. Last year it was very much a one-line racetrack. If you drifted off where the rubber was, you were going for a ride. It's very slippery offline. There's still a degree of that, and the carousel is certainly one of those corners. If you get out in the gray outside of the rubbered-in line, struggle to get the car back, and suddenly you're in the gravel because that corner just keeps coming back at you.
Solid day for the 08. This is what they needed after the big impact yesterday. Turn 1, lap 1, actually turn 3, lap 1, that they were caught out in. Brian Sellers has this car in a nice position here, set to turn it over to Bryson Morris when the time comes. A couple of podiums on the year for Brian Sellers, and in a position, I think, for Bryson to fight for another one before it's all said and done today.
Yeah, I think so far this weekend, when you think about who the co-drivers are going to be, Bryson Morris aboard the 08, Neil Verhagen right behind Brian Sellers right now, be Samantha Tan. I think Samantha and Bryson have had very similar pace here this weekend, so that could be a great battle between those two Pro-Am entries.
They know each other well. He's driven with her for her team in the past. in Preventic 24H Series races.
Both mentored by Nick Johnson as well.
Connections run deep in this paddock.
They do.
In this sport, really.
Brian Sellers knows Nick Johnson well. They live in a similar neck of the woods in Atlanta, so there's a network, and that's what it's all about, establishing relationships, having trust and confidence in opinions that people provide on new young talent coming up through our ranks.
Brian has a new role this year with the DXDT racing team. It was announced back in December of 23 that he'd taken on an advisory role. So his job extends beyond just driving the race car. He's a great mentor for young drivers. Madison Snow, who we'll see in the second stint, is someone that he's really helped nurture and bring along. Madison from a great racing family in his own right, but under Brian's tutelage, he has become a proper pro-level driver. In fact, named to the BMW factory driver lineup this year. And I credit, and I assume Madison would too, the help that Brian has given over the years.
Yeah, they're like family. I mean, those two are super close. I mean, there's a lot of great relationships with co-drivers throughout our paddock, but I think for Madison and Brian, they take it to the next level. They're like an older and younger brother in some ways.
Back in the back of the pack again, we've been telling you, keep an eye, don't forget about the 91. Jeff Burton getting into his rhythm here with his best lap of the race in successive laps. Was able to carve off about a full second on that last time by. And Philip Ellis puts the helmet on. This will most likely be the first car to come to the pit lane. They are, assuming that they have that opportunity first, they are keen to get in and make that switch as soon as they can to let Philip Ellis do his thing.
Yeah, and he's just got to keep it clean. I think he may have had a bit of a bobble early in the race. We may have missed it and not seen it from our cameras, but he certainly lost a lot of ground there and been in front of Alan Metney there for a while. So he settled back down. His last lap was his best of the race, so he's starting to find some pace here.
This is for the lead in the AM class. Negri around the outside of Metney. But the dynamic will shift in the second stint when Negri turns over to Jay Schreibman, who is still early in the learning curve in his GT3 career, and Will Hardiman will take over from Metney for S's Racing. And we saw the pace out of Hardiman yesterday was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it really was. And as you mentioned, Jay doesn't have the experience of Will Hardiman, and really a fun personality. Spent a little bit of time with he and Oz earlier this weekend. He was chatting about his racing programs, did Ferrari Challenge for a couple of years, finished second in the championship, had a shot at the title, and up until an incident at Mugello, I think it was, for the series finale that year. And then he also had an injury that he had to recover from about a year or so ago. So hasn't been the ideal preparation for this year, but great to see them here. I think they're dipping the toe in the water, and they run with AF Corsa over in Europe, so it's a nice chemistry between them and the whole group.
What that AF Corsa program does globally is unbelievable. They've got their fingers in so many different pies, whether it's prototypes all the way up to Ferrari's factory prototypes, right, that have won Le Mans the last 2 years, on down to customer racing at this level, and even, you know, at some lesser levels too. Ferrari Challenge. That program is gargantuan and has success in just about everything it does.
It does. I mean, sometimes they run 7, 8 entries at Le Mans in years past, across GT3 and LMP2. And now, as you say, they're now running the hypercars there for Ferrari as the factory team.
Looks like Justin Rothberg getting ready to do his thing. He'll be taking over the race leading car of Robbie Foley. The lead hovering around a second.
And they're in the window to come in, but you'd think that Robbie Foley will be staying out. Jeff Burton will probably be heading into pit lane here shortly, along with others. Rune Shoxy, I would think, would be trying to get the reins over to Bill Auberlen, see what he can do in the second phase of this race.
Let's see much of Rune in this race. He runs 12th, just trying to keep that car in contention, again, to let Bill do what Bill does. Here we go. Jeff Burton, as anticipated, immediately into the pits. He'll turn it over to Philip Ellis as they go off in pursuit of another win. 50 minutes to go, just beyond the halfway mark here, 5 minutes away.
Minimum stop time is 86 seconds from pit in to pit out. Change of tires, top up of fuel, driver change. Should be plenty of time. Normally the car, if it all goes smoothly, the car should be sitting still for probably 5 to 10 seconds before they launch. They have a little light on the dash that's kind of reading and anticipating when is the correct time to leave their pit box at the pit lane speed limit and not be short of that 86-second time.
Looks like a smooth changeover so far. Tommy Milner immediately into the pit lane. Again, we've seen them do this a few times. They feel like Alec Udell's got comparable pace, and if they think they can get out in some clear track, maybe do the undercut strategy to get some track position. Confident enough in Alec to do that.
Also protects you if there's a yellow. That could throw a cat amongst the pigeons if there is an incident where the series officials and stewards have to go full course yellow. Pit lane would be closed. That can undo a lot of great work.
Story for Racer's Edge. Veach and Mars have been super close all season long in terms of their pace. Here comes the 28 of Varun Choksi. It'll be BMW legend Bill Auberlen to get aboard for ST Racing with their Pro Class entry. There's that big seat insert that was the story yesterday for Racer's Edge. It sits on the roof there. Zach Veach much shorter than Luca Mars. Insert got stuck, or rather I should say a seatbelt got stuck underneath it. That cost them a ton of time in their pit stop, and they went from leading the race to second, and they could not quite recover.
Typically it comes out a little bit easier than going in. That's going in where it can get stuck or sort of grabs, depending on the material that they use.
Mars was ready to go. Had that thing on the limiter. As soon as they said go, he went. Multiple championship winning team, Racer's Edge Motorsports. Foley stays out. Chased by Skier. Top two in their respective classes as well. And now Skier does make the call to the pits. It'll be Adam Adelson to climb aboard the points leading Porsche.
Yeah, quick note here. Alec Udell looks like they were about a 10th shy on the minimum stop time, so that'll be multiplied by 10. So I think it'll be about an 8 or 9/10 post-race addition to their time that'll be added. We'll wait for clarification on that.
And he's under review for the Corvette that has won the last 5 races in the Pro Class, and 4 of those have been overall race wins. So Adam Adelson giving a little nod. He's ready to go. He's in the zone. He has been nothing short of a star since making the jump up to GT3 cars. Doesn't matter which championship he's running in. He's been quick, and they expect big things every time they turn up at the racetrack. Elliott Skier hops out.
Was ramped up and ready to go. You could tell he was just chomping at the bit like a racehorse, ready to be let out of the gates.
Yeah, he loves this. He loves the chance to get to test himself.
The team that has so much experience doing these pit stops. Multiple wins in big enduros.
Stop look clean, as you would expect from Wright Motorsports. Now they wait. Elliott Skier gets the word, and away goes the 120.
Adam Adelson then taking the Wright Motorsport Porsche out there. Great job by Elliott Skier. Really kept the pressure on, kept the gaps really tight at the front. Here's the pretty even there. So Milner came in just behind Elliott Skier, but now Alec Udell is going to have some tire temperature and pressure already built, so it's going to be key now for Adelson to get up on the wheel quickly here before Udell can pounce.
Udell will be pushing. They tried the undercut strategy. Wright tried to cover it off by pitting on the following lap. Udell is starting to close in here. Porsche versus Corvette at Road America with 45 minutes still to go in this race. Here is Alec Udell, Clemson University mechanical engineering graduate. Quick race car driver too. What a year he's had with Tommy Milner and this DXDT team.
Looking for win number 6 out of 6. Not going to be easy, and we're also going to wait for clarification, but I believe he's going to have an 8 or 9/10 time penalty added to his race. So he's not only got to get around Adelson, he's got to gap him by at least that amount.
He's still under review. Last we checked, Foley stays out. There's the sign that pit stop is under review. Sargent and Sellers, Verhagen, Marcelli, Andy Lee. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we can start getting into some of those that have made pit stops.
They can stay out there another 5 minutes, just must not exceed 50 minutes by the time they hit the pit-in marker with the timing line there at the top of the hill. Addison's done a nice job getting up to speed here. Udell has certainly closed the gap, but now it should settle a little bit and equalize.
But Udell is hunting. He's confident. He loves this race car. It's been a great year. He knows he's going to have to make the move here if he's going to keep the win streak intact. This is Random Vandals. Cook giving way to Madison Snow. Madison tested with this team in preparation just in case Connor Daly, the planned second driver, wasn't able to go. And that was indeed the case. Connor raced in the IndyCar race last night. I believe he finished 12th for the Juncos team. That's the rest of the season now that he's scheduled to drive for Juncos Hollinger Racing. But he'll also be contesting the final couple of races this year in Fanatec GT. Battle brewing here. Udell looking to the inside. Great on the brakes there in the Porsche. Adelson gave him absolutely no room to try and cut through. Now the leader is in.
Yeah, could have gone one more and been safe, but you'd certainly running the risk of if a safety car is released and undoes all of the great work. So great stint there by Robbie Foley. Excellent pole here yesterday morning. And just led the field from the drop of the green here.
A couple of cars that are yet to pit still. Sargent has come through. Sellers, Verhagen, and Marcelli. Believe Andy Lee too. Thing will go as long as possible here on the opening stints. Not so for Turner. Justin Rothberg coming in to replace his mentor Robbie Foley in the Leda Creek car, trying to go back-to-back here at Road America.
Should look calm, should look unflustered. Robbie's done this a few times, many times with Bill Auberlen, who was his mentor, and now Robbie is now assuming that role as the lead driver with Turner Motorsports and BMW factory status over the last couple of years.
It's interesting to see how that changes over time from the mentee to the mentor. In the case of Robbie Foley, thumbs up from the Turner crew, a little delay leaving the box, but all in all, good execution for the race-leading car.
It's got to be orchestrated. You see that hose hanging down. If he's released and they're still there, you can certainly hook the rear wing in place. All of those things have to be in place. Here we go. Those cars are going to be coming up on him quickly with hot tires. Udell was putting the pressure there on Adelson. Adelson defending, and now they've got Rothberg right in front of them.
Now these are pro-class cars coming up on the Pro-Am leader, so Rothberg really doesn't need to get involved in this. This is not his fight. He might be best served letting these two go and then building himself up to speed. In fact, I think he's got the blinker on to indicate, yep, move on to my left to the pro-class leaders that are coming through. That said, it's easier said than done because there's good speed in that BMW. Adelson, though, does fling it down the inside, and Udell will follow him through.
Yeah, it's really late on the brakes. You could see him leap to the brake pedal. See that little porpoising there with the Porsche as late as he was there, and Ali just slides through at the same time. So great information given there to Rothberg to let him know. And now we see the last of the pitters coming in at the last possible moment. They could have not have done another lap here without running afoul of the 50-minute drive time.
And all these teams on top of the rule book, at least as far as that's concerned. We do have another pit stop under review. That would be for the Hardiman-Metney team. Pit stop being evaluated as well. They'll probably wait till we get through this pit sequence to hand down the ruling there.
Yeah, they weren't even close looking at the data on the screen. They're about 10 seconds light. That's going to be a harsh one. You're only allowed up to 1 second below the minimum stop time to get that post race. Otherwise, it's going to be a drive-through penalty. plus
That's what's coming then for the SS Racing team, and that could be great news for AF Corsa. Although Schreibman, who's being shown as in the pits for a second time.
came down.
Oh, that's right, for the drive-through. Yep.
The 19 has only got a drive-through penalty for the short pit stop. They got a stop plus 30 for a pit lane speed violation. So I got a feeling that maybe on release that they exceeded, and that's why they're so shy on time. That's pretty remarkable.
This is about to get really interesting here. Here come the Pro Class cars, and oh, Adelson goes wide. Udell able to follow through and find that opening. He comes into the lead, but they've got some traffic to deal with. Pro-Am cars getting up to speed, fresh out of the pits.
Yeah, I think that's Samantha Tan, I believe, now getting up to speed here. You got Rothberg right behind her, so he's got to go on the attack.
Udell's got his teammate ahead of him now. That's Bryson Morris in his debut weekend. That doesn't stop Alec from flashing those headlights, though. And here's Kyle Washington. This is the car at the front of the train. You can see in the mirror somebody moving up the inside. I think that is Udell. Looking to follow in through is Morris. That is for class position in Pro-Am.
This is all going to shake out nicely here. So you see Rothberg there. He's got to get going here. He's got to chase after these cars that are still trying to get some tire temperature in. That bundle of cars in front of him kind of did the overcut, and that's the advantage by staying out a little bit longer. Turner Motorsports elected to pit Robbie Foley a little bit earlier than Rothberg on his outlap is getting up to speed, and that's what happens. You lose that track position. If you're not able to pounce immediately, sometimes it's hard to get it back.
Here we go from race control. As you said, Calvin, car 19, that's S's Racing. Stop plus 30 seconds for a pit lane speed violation and a drive-through penalty for a short pit stop. That is their race basically done, barring something catastrophic for AF Corsa.
Yeah, so that's two separate penalties, as I understand. They're going to come down twice.
Correct.
Oh, I think that's Washington there out wide there through Canada.
That lets Adelson come through, and more importantly, that lets Samantha Tan come through. That is for positioning in Pro-Am. On board with Kyle here. This is the car that Thomas Sargent started.
Yeah, Rothberg now right behind him. Justin's got to get up on the wheel here and make some moves here while his tires have a slight temperature advantage.
BMW, you can see it lurking in the mirror. Now you can't because he tucked out a line. Here comes Rothberg looking for back-to-back wins. Pulls to the inside of the GMG Racing Porsche down the front straightaway into turn number 1, and that pass he's made before the braking zone. Rothberg just needs to make sure he gets a clean exit, but does look like he's slightly compromised. Washington will counterattack. Back to the inside. Oh, and a tire down on the 29 of Rothberg.
I thought there was something going on there. When he came down into that brake zone, it looked like he was weaving around a little bit. I thought, well, he's either braking too hard or there's something amiss.
Oh, that is catastrophic for the winner yesterday. And he's got a full lap that he's going to need to limp that car around.
He's got to be careful here.
I don't know that he knows.
I got a feeling this is what was compromising his pace early on. I mean, I wonder if that tire's already going down, because I was surprised that he couldn't take advantage of his tire temperature being right in the window compared to the others on their outlap.
I think he knows now, and he really needs to back that pace down to avoid doing significant damage to that car. There goes Elias Sabo through. This could be a nice day for him in the car that Andy Lee started.
It's a disaster for this Turner Motorsport Group, and having had the big hit at VIR, they bounced back yesterday with a big win. Clawed a bundle of points back on the ST Racing pairing of Verhagen and Tan, and now it's gone upside down again.
It's all it takes, just one little bit of misfortune. There's no room for error. That's why you have to maximize the days when you've got it going your way. No self-inflicted mistakes if you're going to win a championship.
The track is pretty clean. We really haven't had a lot of contacts in terms of any debris out there, so I wonder how this happens. Sometimes it can just be something left from one of the previous races. The track do a great job of cleanup in between the events, and certainly we had a lunchtime break here as well for that to happen.
Whatever the cause, the end result is that Justin Rothberg is plummeting down the order. On board we ride now with Samantha Tan. She runs right in lockstep with one of the top cars in the Pro Class, the points leaders in their two respective classes, in fact. not fighting one another for class position, but here they are nose to tail anyway.
DXDT now run 1-2 overall in this race, with the Pro Car Alec Udell leading and young Bryson Morris on debut here this weekend with that group leading in Pro-Am, just a couple of cars ahead of the car that we're sitting on board with.
This may not matter for class position, but her class leader is one car up ahead of Adam Adelson, so she needs to make this pass to try and take the fight to Bryson Morris, her erstwhile teammate, let's remember, in another series.
That's right. And right now, Samantha has about 3/10 of an advantage over the pace of Bryson at this stage of the game. Certainly he can dig a little deeper maybe, but right now she's got a quick car, but she's got to deal somehow with Adelson.
Easier said than done. Adam seems to be back in his rhythm, just wasn't quite sure how to deal with that traffic as it was leaving the pits. A little bit tentative, found himself out wide. And Alec Udell needed no second invitation to come through. Cal, this is exactly what you called for here when you saw the timing screen. Car 63, that's the race leader. Just about a second post-race penalty for being slightly under that minimum time in the pits.
Yep, just over a second there, so he's got to make sure he's aware of that and make sure he's gapped Adam Adelson, which he certainly has at this point. He's got about a 3-second margin right now over Adam Adelson, who runs second in class.
And more than that in hand as well over his teammate Bryson Morris in terms of the overall lead of the race. That's Rothberg making the long sojourn around Road America with the punctured tire. He's done a really good job to manage that. You don't see any bodywork damage, but that's little solace when you consider he's just dropped a lap now.
That is brutal. That is really tough. It's going to make this championship really hard for them to make a comeback on the ST Racing pairing.
Especially given the strength Samantha is showing right now. She's got a chance perhaps to race for the win before this is all said and done. She's got the pace certainly over the last few laps, although Bryson Morris has answered the bell. He just turned in a 2:07.8, and that is quicker than both Adelson and Tan, at least on the last lap. Here it is. The Turner team will go to work. First things first, get the wheel off and then assess if there's any damage inside that wheel well.
You see the point spread as they run back up to 45 points.
Only 100 points left after today.
That gap was down to 29 coming into this race today.
Right. This is the beneficiary of the misfortune for Turner, Samantha Tan. She has had her best season of GT3 racing this year, at least here in North America. Fixture on the podium, multiple wins. Could it be a championship campaign?
Trouble when that tire comes apart, if the carcass gets wrapped around the suspension components deep into the wheel well. It's really hard to cut and get out of the way.
Here's Philip Ellis. We previewed what he might be doing here in this stint, and yeah, CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race. On our race vision powered by AWS. And it is Philip Ellis at a 2:05.6, 3/10 clear of the 32. Kyle Washington in the car now, but that was Tom Sargent who set that time in the opening stint of the race.
Yeah, I think for the other drivers out there, as their co-drivers you mentioned, in terms of Hagan and Sellers and Ski who set their times, but yeah, we anticipated this, but he hasn't caught that break. He needed that yellow. He needs a compression. He's got the pace to carve through this field, but too big a gap right now without some help.
It's a big gap to get to the next car, some 28 seconds, unfortunately. 38 seconds behind the leader of the race. Good scrap brewing here. Kyle Washington, Elias Sabo. Two that have raced one another in other categories in the past. Elias, his first race weekend in the BMW. Now, we talked about the heartbreak for Turner Motorsport. Robbie Foley is standing by with our DJ Clark.
here with Robbie Foley. Robbie, that's obviously not the way you wanted this race to go. Any indication what caused the tire puncture?
No, we just got a flat, which obviously sucks for our team, but that's racing. Justin felt something odd on the outlap. He was checking the tire pressure, it was going down. He was obviously on the wrong side of the track when it went down, so it was a long way in, so we lost a lap here. But that's racing. We had a great car, had a good start to the race, a great weekend by our team, and sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield.
Well, I mean, we've still got 2 rounds of Barber and the Indy 8-hour here. Plenty of time left to go in this championship. Are you guys looking big picture?
Absolutely, and Indy's double points, and we love Indy, so we're ready for it.
All right, you're ready for it. We're ready for it. We can't wait for Indy. Robbie, thank you.
Thanks.
Surprisingly upbeat given the circumstances. That was the overall leader prior to the pit stops, and fortunately that's the culprit. How much you can do.
I think it's a great trait to have as a driver if you can just put it in perspective what Robbie seems to have done here. He's a big picture thinker, and he knows that there's some great days ahead for he and Justin Rothberg. It was going to be a tall order anyway to catch Verhagen and Samantha Tan, but here we see this battle developing.
Oberlin on Washington, Pro Class car coming through on Pro-Am. This is Bill doing what we thought he would do, charging up through the running order here in the second stint of the race, but he's got some work to do if he's going to get up to Luca Mars. That's the next car for class position. Back to the Robbie Foley thing, I think he's got to recognize that, and he does, I would anticipate, that Justin Rothberg is a bit ahead of schedule. I mean, this is his first year of GT3 racing, and they were legitimately thinking about championship here in year number 1. That's got to give him a lot of optimism, thinking about what the future might hold.
Yeah, it is, and I think Robbie does just such a great job in terms of representing BMW, but also, you know, finding these great young drivers and networking in the paddock and putting these programs together. Now we see Laberge's off track. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep going here.
That's a strange one. Looks like he's got the car refired here and should be able to rejoin, so we stay green for now. That was there in turn 14. Tough corner, important one too, leading into this long straightaway. Let's look at it.
He just didn't see Hardeman down at the inside. I think that was legit positioning by Hardeman there. I think JF just needed to give him a little bit of room there.
Well, he's back running now, but has dropped a position to Philip Ellis, so that moves Ellis up another spot. His next target will be Jake Peterson. But that's quite a ways up the road. That incident, by the way, is under review.
Yeah, we saw it late, but to me, I think Will was already there, and you know, you can't just go for the apex. You can't suddenly disappear if the car on the outside is going to turn in. So you just got to coexist. We see how the drivers do all weekend long across all of the classes here in SRO competition, and you just got to recognize when someone's made the move down at the inside. Don't just give it up, but you've got to open up your hands a little bit. You just can't dive for the apex.
Well, especially because the cars aren't in the same class. That's not a fight that's worth fighting. Certainly not if it's going to have that consequence. It's been a good day for DXDT Racing, running 1-2 overall. This is the Pro-Am car, and the driver that started the race, Brian Sellers, is with DJ.
I am down here with Brian Sellers of DXDT Racing, and Brian, a mega first stint to put this in position, but this kid you've got in the car is really showing some stuff here.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job for us. It's for sure a difficult situation for him. He got the call just a few days before the race, and he was eager to get here with us. We ran him in a test about a week ago, and he was fantastic. Great kid, listened really well, and we were just really impressed with his ability to come in and just fit seamlessly. So when it came to the option for this race to have him in, he was an easy decision for us.
Well, and you and I were just talking about setting up coming in and out of the pit stops. We always talk about in racing, so crucial, and you guys maximized on both.
Yeah, I think fortunately I had a really good in-lap, and then he had a fantastic out-lap as well. We talked before the race, like you said in the strategy meeting, that would be the difference maker between him and Rothberg or Kyle Washington, because we knew it would be tough to race him. So Turner stopped a lap earlier than us, which I think went in our favor a little bit because it gave us one more opportunity for a flyer. And we were able to jump them in the pits and ride out behind the Sergeant Washington car. And he made a good move into turn 5 on him.
made a good move, and it looks like it's paying dividends here. Brian, hope to see you a little bit later in this day.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very proud Brian Sellers, I think. He loves the mentor role, and he's working with this guy, Bryson Morris, here. And given the relative lack of running Bryson has had in this car, he's lapping right now within a second and a half or so of Brian Sellers' lap times from the beginning of this race. And around a place like Road America, it's almost like you can cut it in half, right? Like a normal racetrack, a second and a half here is about 7 or 8 tenths at a typical racetrack at about half the length.
Yeah, which is really a great, strong performance. He's got the leads. They're probably not asking him to dig any deeper and try and find lap time right now, just maintain position. He's fortunately got Adam Adelson between he and the next Pro-Am entry of Samantha Tan. But his lap times, he's been running within 2 or 3 tenths of Alec Udell, who leads this race overall and continues to lead the pro class. So what a day it could be for DXDT. Got that first global win for Corvette with the new chassis. And for David Askew and the whole group there, Aaron Grahagan and everyone else on board that team, they would love to see a double victory here. That would really be a feather in their cap.
As good as the Pro car has been, the Pro-Am car has been on the podium a couple of times, but it has not won yet. And I know that for DXDT, for GM as well, this is a customer car, a customer program. And to showcase that the car can have success in a Pro-Am format is a feather in the cap for them. It only helps their business model as more and more of these cars become available on the customer market.
Absolutely. I mean, this is full customer racing program, so they want to sell cars, they want to generate interest, showcase that it's not only a Tommy Milner who can drive these cars quickly, and put in a young, up-and-coming driver like Bryson Morris or an AM driver, and they can get to grips with it and give them the confidence. And I think this car is confidence-inspiring. Talking to the drivers, they said it really handles and brakes well. In terms of the BOP, they feel like, yes, there's maybe a couple of cars a little bit quicker down the straightaway, but it still achieves the lap time that you need.
Powered by the same flat crank engine architecture as the GTE version of the C8 that was the predecessor to this GT3 version. The engine is derived from the production Z06 Corvette. 70% of parts shared between race and road-going variants of that power plant. Pretty cool, the road-to-track relevance there, and vice versa, of course. A lot of work was done. You talk about this being a customer car, built for customer racing. GM and Pratt & Miller put a lot of work into designing the cockpit, trying to help with ingress and egress, thinking about customers that they're not going to be factory drivers, and there's a certain shape that factory drivers tend to come in, but make this car accessible for just about anybody who would like to go racing in a Corvette.
Well put. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. It's for all shapes and sizes, so you need a car that's user-friendly. And these cars are so complex, though, when you look at the complexity of the steering wheel and all of the tools that you have on hand. It takes a while. There's a pretty hefty handbook that comes when you switch gears to a new manufacturer. So for Elias Sabo this weekend, I'm sure he's had to do his homework both on and off the racetrack.
Yeah, we heard from Andy Lee yesterday about just learning how to turn the windshield wipers off and on this weekend. This is a brand new car to Flying Lizard. They started the season in the Aston, made the switch mid-year to the BMW, and they've been drinking from the fire hose this weekend and could be rewarded for all the hard work they've put in, thrashing to get this car ready to go, learning on the fly. Right now, Elias Sabo is in a position to score his first podium of the year, which I believe would be his first ever GT3 podium.
Yeah, certainly would. So this would be a real boost for this whole group with all of the hard graft that's been put in to get this car on the racetrack this weekend.
This is his next closest pursuer, Kyle Washington, coming through. Then Jake Peterson. Talked about him a little bit earlier. Music student. Loves his music, loves his racing. His dad did a lot of off-road Baja type racing, so that's the motorsports connection in the family. He had an interest in off-road bikes and things like that, but only in the last couple of years has he done some testing in GT-style cars and has loved it, trying to pair it together with his educational pursuits. Hope to see a whole lot more of it, bright future.
And I spoke to young Jackson Bell, who was competing here in GR Cup this weekend. He works with Jeff Siegel and all of his sim programs down in Miami, and he actually set up a sim at Jake's house recently, so he said the kid is definitely into it. He's doing his homework.
Okay. He's running in a lot of series this year. No full season, but partial schedules in multiple Porsche Cup series. Plus here, of course, in Fanatec GT, and two of the best, brightest liveries on the grid have now found each other. Washington coming under pressure. Here comes Peterson. He'll move to the outside. Kyle will defend. Makes that outside line work with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, he used a little bit of the out of bounds there, so we'll have to wait and see what the stewards think about that. It's one thing to use it, but it's another thing to use it to make a pass.
It's on the fringe, that's for sure, but for the moment, Jake Peterson is in front of Kyle Washington in a change of fourth position. Peterson up a couple spots now. Back on board with Washington as he sets off in pursuit, trying to get that position back. His victory lane interview, race 1 at VIR, was about as emotional as we've seen this year. Kyle Washington, that meant a lot to him.
It did. You know, he puts in a lot of work, a lot of effort, a big commitment to run as many series as he does, just from a timeline, just being away from home for that much. Busy man with a variety of businesses that he's involved in. To make that time commitment is huge. So to finally see victory lane, grab that brilliant victory, it's a great reward, and he's really getting just better and better, more solid every single weekend. Just super consistent now, it seems.
Dual Canadian-U.S. citizen, Kyle Washington. That has done most of his racing here in the States. He's done some off-road racing too. I wonder if the Washington family and the Peterson family have ever interacted, given their shared background in Baja-style trophy truck racing.
You may be saying that Jake used some off-road racing to make the move.
Yeah, that might be the argument. Haven't seen anything about it being under review at this point.
Do you see that, you may have mentioned this already, that no action on the 1992 incident?
Yeah, that would have been the Hardiman-LaBerge incident in turn 14. I had not mentioned that yet. But race control has laid down its judgment, and nothing will be made of that. So Hardiman continues, but well down the order, having served multiple penalties, unfortunately, in this race for a couple of different pit lane procedural mistakes. Philip Ellis continues his charge. In fact, just reset the fastest lap of the race, 2:05.3.
He is absolutely flying here. Definitely going to get up in the top 5. Can he get to a podium? Let's try and work this out. He's about 21 seconds back. We've probably got about 8 laps. 3 seconds a lap. Does he have a 3-second advantage on Sabo? Yes, he does. So let's see how this one shakes out. If he can cut through this traffic pretty quickly, there might be a chance of catching the number 8 machine and grabbing that podium.
For a factory driver like Philip Ellis, I'm sure you'd like to be out front controlling races, but I have to imagine it's fun to get thrown in and say, all right, Philip, go. Qualifying lap after qualifying lap, pass as many people as you can.
Yeah, particularly on a track like this. This is a thrill ride around here by yourself, so even when he's just out there by his lonesome, just carving those fantastic fast laps, it's enjoyable. I mean, we tend to forget that. It's all about competition and result and targets, but just the sheer joy of driving one of these GT3 cars around a circuit like Road America is something else.
Podium potentially in play given his pace, but it depends on how quickly he can carve through the traffic. Maybe the fellow Mercedes will help him out a little bit. Certainly what Philip Ellis will be hoping for. That said, Hardiman's pace is good. It's not like, I mean, Ellis is definitely closing in, but it's not just by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, Hardiman is down a lap here, obviously, after the rash of penalties that they had to pay.
Here they come. Kyle Washington just crossed the line. That's going to be the next target for Ellis as far as class position. He just ran another 2:05.3, just 42 thousandths off of his best.
Wow.
That was running in traffic too. Does get by Hardiman and now sets off again.
He could catch Washington by the end of this lap with that sort of delta in speed.
In the meantime, Madison Snow has caught Elias Sabo, and Elias will not have anything to fight here. This is, again, 2 cars in 2 different classes. Elias is going to need to prioritize losing as little time in this as possible in this exchange, because he will know that Philip Ellis is on the march.
Philip just pumping up the scoring charts with those purple laps. Certainly that will have got the attention of everyone in class, including Flying Lizard.
For now, the 2 BMWs running in lockstep. It would be a good day, all told, for both of them. Certainly for Flying Lizard, but for Madison Snow and Random Vandals, yes, they're down the order in the pro class, but just to get out here and run a full race. They couldn't do it yesterday. First weekend of that package, they'll just get stronger and stronger as the year goes on.
Yeah, and that margin we talk about with Ellis getting to that podium is going to be tight. It'll be the last lap or so before he gets there, so he's got to keep the hammer down. He can't afford to get stymied in any way, and as we anticipated, he caught Washington before the end of this lap. So he is on the charge. He's got targets, and they will be telling him also, keep this going, and a podium is potentially there.
Made quick work of Kyle Washington, and that's what the doctor ordered for Regulator Racing. The Burton Lumber car started by Jeff Burton. In the meantime, the final step of the podium currently belongs to Elias Sabo. He lets Kitten Cook come through. A good way to do it. Shouldn't have lost too much momentum in that exchange, and now he'll need to put the hammer down to try and maintain that spot for the final 13.5 minutes.
Another 2:05.6 second lap by Philip Ellis. So now he sits, let's work out, about 15 seconds back. Anticipate about 6 or 7 laps to go. And he was about 4 seconds quicker than Elias on that last lap.
He'll need to get by Jake Peterson first, and that too will be for position. So Jake won't make it easy, unlike some of the other traffic that he has encountered. Will Hardiman comes to mind. And will be in about 2 laps. Philip Ellis, if he can keep up this pace, and if Jake keeps his pace, he should be there soon. Now this is big from a points perspective. We saw this points situation earlier when Jeff Burton was running at the back, and that had cost them 3rd place in points to the number 32 of Kyle Washington and Tom Sargent. But with Ellis now getting back around Washington, they've retaken 3rd place in the point standings.
Yeah, that puts up around the 0-4 entry that we don't see competing here this weekend. So we're moving on up, and they're just thinking about this podium. This is a lot of fun, I would think, just to be given a target. Just keep running these laps, Philip. If you can continue to run 2:05s, it could be enough to see the podium.
If so, it would be the 4th podium of the season. Included in that is the overall win in race 2 at VIR. What a celebration that was, and a really cool moment where this alternate strategy played out exactly like they dreamed it would. They'd been waiting all season for that, and it fell right into their hands.
He is sending it. He's in every inch of the road, using the curbs up there through Billy Mitchell. See what it does across the line this time. He's been running consistent 2:05s. There's another one, a 2:05.6, about 3/10 off his personal best in the fastest race lap of the day.
2.5 seconds faster than Jake Peterson, who is 5 seconds up the road, so he'll be there in 2 laps. See Peterson out the windshield. That's the carrot dangling in front of his nose to chase.
He's only about 10 seconds back of Sabo right now.
And Elias is running in the 2:10 bracket. That gap comes down quickly with that math. 11 minutes to go. Still a lot to play out with Alec Udell and Bryson Morris running 1-2, leading their respective classes. Could it be a DXDT 1-2? here at Road America. Looking that way right now. Adam Adelson, 3 seconds adrift of Morris in the 3rd spot overall, 2nd in class. Then Samantha Tan, 2nd in her class, running 4th overall. Luca Mars in the final podium spot for the Pro class. But the final step of the podium in Pro-Am very much up for grabs thanks to the pace of this man, Philip Ellis.
Yeah, and Ellis has made up, we're talking about getting on that Pro-Am podium. He's made up about 20 seconds on the overall leaders of this race, so been absolutely flying as we anticipated. Had the fastest time for qualifying yesterday's race, but they had a ride height infraction, I believe it was, so he ultimately had to start from the back of the pack yesterday, so similar scenario, drove up towards the front.
Still had a chance to win in the race yesterday with the way it played out. There was a late yellow that did not play into their hands. It's interesting how with this strategy, the possibility of a late yellow is viewed in diametrically opposed ways. It's bad for them in race 1. It is great for them in race 2 if it comes after the driver change. And as long as it's cycled through and they're still on the lead lap. He just ran a 2:05.5, Peterson a 2:08.6, so he should be there this lap for 4th place. And Sabo just did up the pace a little bit to a 2:09.6, but he's only 4 seconds or so ahead of Peterson for the final step of the podium.
Yeah, I think in a couple of laps he'll catch Sabo. Samantha Tan, who runs 2nd in class, I think she's well out of reach, and as is our leader, Bryson Morris, of course. So I think that's about as far as Ellis can climb in terms of class position would be P3, unless we saw a yellow here, but we don't have much time to play with for that to happen, of course.
This is the best scrap on the track, the most jeopardy right here. 3rd, 4th, 5th in Pro-Am. Up the hill, Philip Ellis. His next target, right there, the Porsche of Jake Peterson. How hard will Jake fight the Mercedes-AMG factory driver? Clobbers those curves using every bit of racetrack available to him. And it's hard to argue with it because the lap time has been exquisite.
Good comparison. We rode on board with Jeff Burton earlier and we talked about the relatively lack of experience compared to a top AMG pilot like Philip Ellis, but you can just see that Philip just rolls to power a little bit smoother, a little bit earlier through some of the corners, a bit more commitment through turn 7. Just wringing the neck of this Mercedes. He's got Peterson right in his sights right now.
Jake will guard the inside here, trying to stave off what appears to be the inevitable because Ellis just powers around the outside in Canada corner and he steals 4th place away. And he can see the podium now. It's right there, Elias Sabo in the Flying Lizard BMW.
This is a superb performance here by Philip Ellis. We expect it, but when you see it again, it doesn't stop you from being impressed.
A master class by a true professional GT driver. Sabo across the line. Now it's Ellis across the line. The gap between the two just 2.3 seconds. This should happen on this lap, barring something unforeseen. 7 minutes to go, and the final step of the Pro-Am podium still hanging in the balance.
See a lot of these cars just outside the out of bounds mark there, and haven't seen anything come up in terms of warnings, but you continue to do that. You don't want to suddenly have that curtail your progress, but I think Sabo's going to be defenseless here. Not much you can do when you see a man on top of his form like you see it with Philip Ellis here today.
No, Sabo will probably be more interested in the progress of Peterson in what will become the fight for 4th and 5th if Ellis is able to do what we are forecasting and reel in the BMW and make the pass for 3rd.
Sabo's been really consistent, gradually dropping his lap times. Sort of started in the high 9s, he's now down to low 9s, so nice improvement there. We talked about the potential with that car. Andy Lee ran laps in the low 206 range earlier in this race, so Flying Lizard and that engineering group will get on top of this race car. It's been a brilliant debut, I think, to just roll off it with just a shakedown over Apex. To come here and be so competitive, they've got to be really buoyant as now Ellis gets that run.
Oh, he was so committed through the kink that time. He Gets to the outside of Sabo. Sabo crowds him just a little bit. Ellis backs out of it. Sabo holds on for now.
He's a tough cookie. You may say, yeah, you're a flying machine, but I'm not going to make it easy.
Back on board, Philip Ellis trying to make the move. Looks outside, thinks about moving inside again. Sabo holds that middle line. Now, how much is this costing Elias? Once Philip makes the pass, assuming he does this cost Elias potentially and bring him in into the clutches of Jake Peterson?
Yeah, that's a really good point here. Being pretty pesty here, isn't he? Doesn't want to give it up. He knows he's on the verge of a first podium, but watch that brake zone there. Ellis just sends it around the outside. That is amazing.
Wow. That is what a GT3 factory driver can do. Around the outside in turn 1 at Road America, and he is up to 3rd. This would be podium number 4 for Philip Ellis, Jeff Burton, and Regulator Racing if he can maintain it for the next 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the difference, just in experience and confidence and understanding how these high downforce machines can work if you really send it. That was just a really nice move there, and for Elias Sabo, I'm sure his eyes were open with that little move that he just saw.
Even still, if Sabo can hang on to 4th place, that would be a season best. And to do that on the first weekend with the new car, that's great validation that you made the right choice.
Oh, absolutely. To make the move with not a ton of race experience from GT4 up to GT3, he's done an amazing job, but you know, that's the target. That's what he's hoping to get to. That's what Andy Lee, certainly his teammates, hoping to get to be able to do things like that with the race car.
Something's happened to Elias. He dropped back behind Peterson now. Didn't see what happened, but I did see just briefly there that they have changed positions. So Sabo now down to 5th. That would still match a career best. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this. This is a replay of the move in turn 1. Ellis did go wide though.
I've seen that with a few moves here today. I haven't seen it being called by the race stewards, so maybe they're being consistent with that. Definitely a little bit different to what I expected to see being called.
If Philip is asked to give that position up, it would be to the car, not necessarily just the position. That would actually drop him 2 places, but race control has ruled all is fair. So Philip Ellis continues on in 3rd, Peterson up to 4th, Sabo to 5th. Not sure what happened to him, but he did lose 5 seconds on that lap and did drop 2 positions.
2:46 to go, time winding down. DXDT on the verge of a huge result here, winning both classes and a 1-2 overall run, potentially. Big day for Regulator Racing with this outstanding performance we've been witnessing here for the last 10-15 minutes or so, with Philip Ellis flying through this field and catching that podium run over Elias Sabo.
Those two are sister teams, run out of the same shop, but run separately. DXDT and Regulator Racing. There's the potential for all 3 cars to be on the podium today. That's the way they're running right now, with 2 wins thrown into the mix. That would be, I mean, certainly the best day in the history of DXDT.
Yeah, it's come a long ways if you reflect back a couple of years ago when they were really struggling to get the pace out of those Mercedes and kind of just scratching their heads. So this switch of chassis has just really opened up the door for success for them.
White flag waves here at Road America. Alec Udell has a significant advantage over his teammate Bryson Morris, who leads in the Pro-Am class. Morris has his mirrors full now with Adam Adelson, but those two are not in the same class. Shaping up to be a special day if the 2 DXDT Corvettes can just keep these cars pointed the right direction one more time around this 14-mile Road America circuit. For Adam Adelson and Elliott Skier, it does not appear that it's going to be a return trip to the top step of the podium, but it will be yet another podium finish. And yes, Udell and Milner are inching that little bit closer, but all in all, solid day for the number 120, especially after dealing with some damage yesterday.
Well, they came into this race with a 42-point lead. And if you think about an 8-point swing here. No, 7-point swing between. So if you timed that by 5, it'd be 35. So even if you factored that out through the end of the year, if the 63 car continued to win, if they finished second, that would still be enough.
Right.
But it'd be tight.
Puts the pressure on.
Yeah.
But DXDT would have to be perfect.
Yes.
And that's not an easy thing to do, especially with an 8-hour race looming at the end of the season. Alec Udell and Tommy Milner on an unbelievable streak of their own. This pro car entered the championship for rounds 5 and 6 at Circuit of the Americas. This is the 6th race of this pairing. They're 2 corners away from being undefeated in the championship. A perfect 6 for 6 for the number 63 car. Alec Udell, one final time through turn 14, sets his sights on the checkered flag that's waiting for him in the flagman's gantry. Alec Udell, Tommy Milner, and DXDT sweep the weekend, and they are 6 for 6 on the season. They win in the pro class, leading home a 1-2 overall for DXDT, and a winner in the Pro-Am class for the first time. Bryson Morris on debut joins Brian Sellers. They win in the Pro-Am ranks ahead of Adam Adelson in the pro class, Samantha Tan in Pro-Am, and here is your leader in the Am class. Oz Negri started the car, and Jay Schreibman set to bring it home for AF Corsa. First weekend in the series for this duo in the M-branded machine. Here they come, the Ferrari 296, looking for a race win in the Am class after finishing second a day ago. Schreibman and Negri are race winners.
It's great to see them here, and hopefully we'll see them a lot more over coming races and coming seasons. I think Jay will be pretty pumped about that performance. Great to see Oz Negri, an old friend of ours, back. And he hasn't lost his touch.
No, sir, he has not. He has lost his silver FIA grading. He's now a bronze. But the pace has not gone anywhere. It's still the same Oz Negri. Even at, well, we won't put a number on it, but a slightly elevated age from a few years ago. Let's put it that way. DXDT Racing 1-2. Cannot wait to hear from them. David Askew, the team owner, what he has built, the work he put in to try and attract GM to his team based in North Carolina. They started out in Utah but moved to North Carolina a few seasons ago. It was a major coup for this team to attract GM and be the official customer team here in SRO America, the flagship for GM in SRO Motorsports. This is the crowning achievement of that partnership to date.
Absolutely, yeah. It's to win 6 races straight is incredible, particularly with the competition level we have in this championship. So hats off to everyone with that group.
There we go. Results from our race today. Milner and Udell, 6.6 seconds over the team car. Bryson Morris, his debut race, gets a race win. That is pretty cool. That doesn't happen too often. Brian Sellers, his teammate, will share the top step with him. Then in the Pro-Am, make that the Pro class, second place to Adelson and Skier. Championship leaders coming in, continuing their strong run of consistency. Tan and Verhagen again on the podium. They've only missed it once, and that was yesterday. Good points day for them. Luca Mars and Zach Veach backing up their runner-up yesterday with a third today in the Pro class ahead of Oberlin and Choxy. Madison Snow, Kenton Cook faded a little bit late, but good to see them run the full distance in the first weekend for Random Vandals after an accident yesterday. As far as the AM class is concerned, Oz Negri, Jay Schreibman, AF Corsa. They are winners today. Swapping places effectively with S's Racing's Will Hardiman and Alan Metney, winners a day ago. And Heartbreak at the bottom of that chart. We should spare a moment for Robbie Foley and Justin Rothberg. Winners yesterday looked like they were in store for a great day today when a slow puncture cost them dearly right after the pit stop.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because they'd put together a dominant performance here today, and Robbie had a brilliant opening stint from the pole, and the car looked to be strong. I felt right from the get-go, and that sort of like concurs with what Robbie said about what they were seeing on the data, that there was something wrong with Rothbo's car. Slow puncher immediately. He didn't have the pace to attack when he had the tire temperature compared to the people who overcut him.
Well, you saw it happening in real time, and that's the way it played out. And in a race with basically no attrition, there were no pieces for them to pick up today, so that cost them quite a bit. Takes them out of the immediate championship conversation that they had entered with the race win yesterday. There's Alec Udell, big smile under the helmet. He'll take the gloves off. The helmet will come off next. Tommy Milner got the race started. Did a great job handing it over then to Alec, who finished the deal to make it 6 in a row, including 5 overall for the driver of the number 63 Corvette for DXDT Racing. DJ Clark is standing by to hear from our race winners.
And Alec Udell, that makes it not 4, not 5, but 6 for 6 for you in DXDT Racing. You had to deliver in this final stint, and you certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, crew did a great job with the car. There's limited dry running time this week with all the weather that's been going through, so happy to be here, and the Corvette performed beautifully here at Road America, so really happy with the platform. And yeah, just Tommy had a great first stint. Maybe got caught in some traffic and dirty air there, but yeah, we had a little bit of a battle with Adam. He drove great in the opening laps of the stint, and then some cars coming out of pit lane. There was a bit of a traffic jam, if you will, so able to take advantage of that and just run clean basically to the finish. So really happy for Bryson and Brian as well. Great to see that car up front. So happy for the team. Really great team effort.
Well, that is Alec Udell, a very, very happy Victor. We're going to also go over here. Just as he said, it's not only a win for DXDT Racing in the Pro Class category, but it is a victory here in the Pro-Am category. Bryson, you had to deliver on that last stint, much like your teammate. You absolutely did it, and you have brought the 08 to its first victory of the year.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pretty difficult stint, but luckily Brian Sellers got me out in the lead. So I just had to pass one car and was able to hold it from there. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone at DXDT Racing, my manager Nick Janssen, everyone, thank you. Couldn't do it without them.
Well, I want to talk to you about that lap that you had to run. I mean, Brian told us that was the strategy coming on into it, how tricky it was. Did you feel the pressure at that moment, or did you just know, I've got this?
Yeah, for sure. I was getting read the gaps, and yeah, I heard it coming down a few times. So I knew that she was definitely quick and on it. But yeah, we were able to take it away. So super grateful for that.
All right, there he is, Bryson Moore, the newest winner here for DXDT Racing, and we're going to come around here. We've got Oz Negri and Jay Schreiber. Oz, I want to start with you. Great runs for both of you. You guys did it. Welcome back, first of all, and it's great to see you here being able to take victory in the M-Class category.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back and be back with AF course, Jay Schreiber. I am branded Ferrari at 60. What else can I ask? A win. I thought I was going to be a little rusty on the start, but, you know, it's just like riding a bike. You know, it comes back to you, and I went for it. Unfortunately, we had that penalty, but we came through as a team, and, you know, I can't thank enough the hard work that the guys did at the pits and to give us a fast car that we could keep that quick pace and win the race today.
Well, Jay, I want to turn to you. We talked about that strategy. What was going on in the box, and what was everybody's conversation about that penalty, and how were you able to fight back from that?
Yeah, so obviously it was unfortunate, but I just said we don't quit, and everybody pulled it together. It was a little rough for a minute there, but we got ourselves together. We got the gaps, we got the lap. Oz did an amazing job giving me the car and getting back into contention, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to the team, my sponsors. I am branded. Family, friends, just couldn't be more blessed. Thank you, guys. What a great day, yeah.
What a great day indeed. All three of your victors here, very happy down in Victory Lane.
That was fantastic. Great to see them. Congratulations to all of the winners, and the celebration just beginning here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America. First win on the debut weekend for this pairing, Jay Schreibman and Oz Negri for AF Corsa. Good team to be paired up with if you're going to be making your debut. That team knows how to take care of business.
Yeah, they do. And despite the little snafu with the tire blankets being left on transportation to the car, they recovered nicely. Really strong performance. Oz Negri had laps in the mid 6-second range, so that's pretty impressive for a 60-year-old.
I'd say so. Did a really nice job here today, picking up the win in the M class for AF Corsa. A look back on race 2 of the weekend from Road America. The green flag got things started, and it was Robbie Foley leading the way in the Turner BMW. Big moves early on to get up into the second spot overall from the Corvette. This was a battle in the AM class at the time for the class lead. Pit stops happened. Jeff Burton turned over to Philip Ellis. Huge moment here, though. Number of cars using the overcut strategy, exiting the pits in front of the top 2 in the Pro class. That opened the door for Alec Udell to slot to the inside of his competition. He took the lead there. Heartbreak for the 29 Turner Motorsport team, cut tire, and their chance for a good result was gone. Elias Sabo racing with Kyle Washington, but at the end, it was a checkered flag for DXDT Racing. Double race win. Wins in both the Pro and Pro-Am classes. Huge day for that team. Meanwhile, in the M class, it was all about this car, the Ferrari from AF Corsa. James Schreibman and Oz Negri picking up the win after finishing second in race 1. Yesterday, Alec Udell celebrating in victory lane for the 6th straight race. And the podium festivities about to get underway to conclude the race weekend here at Road America. Our DJ Clark is the master of ceremonies. He'll be welcoming the podium finishers up onto the rostrum, such as it is here at Road America. But great to see the crowd starting to gather around as well to celebrate with all of the podium finishers here at Road America. We'll start with the AM class, and Will Hardiman, Alan Metney come home second today after a strong day yesterday. Just didn't quite go their way in the pit lane here in race 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure when to miss on that pit stop, just way under, about 10 seconds under the minimum stop time. Speed limit penalty as well. It's unfortunate, they had good pace.
It is a family affair in motorsports, and certainly true in Fanatec GT World Challenge America. That's cool.
How cute are they?
Oz Negri and Jay Schreibman will take center stage and hold up that first place trophy, hard earned here today. Not sure what the future of the AM class is after this weekend. As we heard from Will Hardiman, he's running a partial schedule this year. And Alan Metney's been a sometime co-driver, but Adam Carroll's been part of this lineup too from time to time, and had not heard anything about what AF Corsa's plans are beyond this weekend either.
I think they're doing the 8-hour Tony V-Land.
That's right, you did say that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Great to have Tony back. Haven't seen him in a couple of years. Former champion here in North America, as well as overseas, as we talked about yesterday.
I don't want you to get hit too much here with the you know what's coming next.
Up next, of course, a trip to Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park. Amazing to think. Just 3 races left this season. Now, one of them's an 8-hour, but we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and it seems to have happened very suddenly.
Yeah, that's why so many moves this weekend across all of the classes here in SRO competition have had big effects on championship potentials.
And they do as DJ commands. What's that?
DJ scaring the kids down there.
Is it DJ or is it the champagne? It's a little bit unsettling either way if you've not experienced it before.
Let's give it up one more time.
Love the enthusiasm from our DJ Clark, though. That is the AM class podium done and dusted. So Pro-Am will be up next. Third place, Philip Ellis, the charge he went on through the field. I know we've seen him do it before this year, and you said it well earlier. It shouldn't come as a surprise at this stage, but it still is awfully impressive to see.
Yeah, when you see someone just right on the pace every single lap, just incredible performance.
And not just relative to others in his class. And look, we chronicled the strategy, so we know he's not up against the other pros in the Pro-Am lineups. But you said it, he took 20 seconds or so out of the overall lead during his stint.
Yeah, amazing. In his fast lap, some 6/10 quicker than anyone else in this field, which actually was Tom Sargent. He had a great run early in the race with the GMG Porsche.
First weekend for the AM class, and as a consequence, with the two teams swapping, or sorry, I should say, sharing race wins, one on one day, one on the other, points are all knotted up at 43 apiece, leaving this weekend here at Road America. Back to the podium now. There's Jeff Burton and Philip Ellis on the right. Samantha Tan, Neil Verhagen. It was not their day yesterday. This wasn't a race win, but it was a good bounce back nevertheless.
Good for the championship too. I mean, the Turner Motorsports question and what might have been without the incident of VIR, without the punch here today, this championship could have been extremely tight, but it's going to be tough to catch Sam and Neil.
And then this is a special one too. First win of the year for the 08 car. Verhagen, who knows Sellers so well, giving him a big congratulations. Those two have done a lot of driving together and endurance racing here this year. They're sharing a couple words there. But for Bryson Morris, first race that he really got to run in earnest. I mean, yeah, he was in the race yesterday, but the car was so delayed. And he ends up as the race winner.
How does Brian Sellers always end up with really tall teammates? Madison towers above him.
Yep.
He's got another one in young Bryson. I think there's a common thread there.
Needs to team up with Zach Veach sometime. They wouldn't need a seat insert, would they?
I used to tease him and send pictures of victory shots, but I'd crop it so you couldn't quite see Brian's head.
Well, again, we can joke about it because we're right there too. No one's ever accused us of towering over anyone over the age of 7. Here we go. Time to take a couple more photos and then the champagne spray, which always seems a bit more vigorous on the Sunday race.
Yes, and there's a few drinking establishments just locally that you can celebrate tonight with.
As long as you're not Bryson Morris.
That's true.
Not old enough. So that should be cider of some description. Good camaraderie there. I mean, so many of these guys and girls have raced against each other and with each other over the years. Good respect shown by everyone, and for Brian, of course, he knows Jeff Burton well, having been a teammate in the past as well. Here we go, our point standings after the 10th round, and with second place, it's a hefty 45-point advantage for Tan and Verhagen over Rothberg and Foley. What might have been today with the pace of the Turner team. They never got a chance to show it though, given the cut tire issue that they had. Philip Ellis and Jeff Burton do find themselves up in the 3rd spot. For a little while today, Kyle Washington and Tom Sargent were in that position when we checked in with the live point standings, but they've fallen down a little bit, but still good duel between those two looking ahead to the final 3 races of the season.
Yeah, it's a fun year, and we see a lot of these drivers just gradually getting more and more form and confidence as the season progresses, learning the ropes for some of the newer drivers in our championship, so it just tightens things up as we move forward. So I expect some very competitive races at Barber, and then obviously the big one, the Indy 8 Hour. So many global entries coming on board as well. That should be an exciting weekend.
And Barber is the big unknown. This series has been there under another guise in the past, but it's been a while, and it's never been here with this race format. So that will be an interesting mystery to resolve, to see how the 90-minute races play out at that very tight, twisty circuit in Alabama. Zach Veach on the left, Luca Mars on the right, welcoming Elliott Skier and Adam Adelson to the podium. And now we await our race winners for the 6th consecutive time.
From DXDT Racing, Tommy Milner and Alec Udell.
Tommy and Alec, the dynamic duo since coming into the championship back at Circuit of the Americas. 6 consecutive wins in a pro class that is only getting more competitive by the weekend. We get new cars showing up week in and week out, and that's kind of a reminder that they've made it look easy, but it isn't.
It isn't. So great performance. The cars are quick. The Corvette is a great platform. But I think 2 drivers of a similar vein. Certainly Tommy Milner has a lot more GT3 experience than Alec does, but nonetheless, I think they drive very similarly. There you can see Tommy's sister there, Erin, the team manager for DXDT, sharing the celebrations, rightly so. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes to see these race victories.
I know for Tommy, it makes it extra special that he finally gets to race for his sister's team. They've raced around one another and sometimes in different paddocks, but to get to share this experience together, Tommy and Erin, has to make them very, very happy, and imagine it makes Tom Sr. pretty happy too.
Yes, for sure. Tom doesn't get to many races. He just can't handle not being busy, but I'm sure he's observing and really loving what he's seeing with his 2 kids having so much success.
And there is the champagne spray on the pro class podium. Everyone smiling. I think everyone got what they could out of their cars among those 3 crews, at least today. Not much left on the table. If anyone's sitting thinking what might have been, it's probably the Racer's Edge car going back to yesterday, where they probably could have won their first race of the year if not for a pit snafu. Nevertheless, it's Skier and Adelson by 35 over Udell and Milner, who continue to close in despite not running the full season. Then Choxy and Oberlin in 3rd with a 14-point edge over Mars and Veach. Those are the full season entries, plus the DXDT tandem that has inserted itself into the championship conversation by winning 6 in a row.
Yeah, with 50 points on hand, the double point weekend for the Indy Hour, you'd have to feel that, you know, Alec Udell and Milner were going to be within range, and how close they are is going to be the real question mark.
It is indeed. It's been a fun weekend here at Road America. The weather held up today. We got through the deluge earlier in the weekend, and at the end of it, some fun racing here at America's National Park of Speed. But up next, the Augusta National of Racecourses, Barber Motorsports Park. The next stop on the calendar for Fanatec GT.